and a very good morning. Welcome to Shop on TV. I'm Hayley Green.
And I'm Sean Crawley.
And we're really pleased you've switched on today. Today shouldn't have happened. This show shouldn't be on because our final show for Simpler Law, which is writing your will, which is so important, was meant to be a couple of weeks ago, but so busy and lots of people missed out on the offer. They've kindly come back and this will be the very last show before Christmas. If you haven't written your will, it is so important that you do, because what you want to happen, what you think will happen, and what you've perhaps told all your family that you wish will happen when you die, that so-and-so has this and this is left to them and that they don't have that, it just doesn't happen. Because there is already a will written for you if you haven't written your own.
A government will is in place for you if you haven't written your will, as Hayley said. So it's so important, but it's so affordable. And Simpler Law we're working directly with to bring you the most fabulous offers, and they are experts in the field. And so you can write down exactly what you want to happen. It's not just wills, though. We'll also be talking about lasting power of attorney as well.
I think will-wise, coming up to Christmas, it could be the best present that you could buy your family. It could actually be, perhaps you know, we always put things off, don't we? And perhaps you've got plans in the new year to write a will. Well, if you actually secure the deals tonight, you know that in the new year, you will write that will. You won't put it off any longer. Honestly, you've got every reason to secure your deals today. Absolutely phenomenal prices. Shall we look at the prices? Because we mentioned lasting power of attorney and wills, and you've got the opportunity there to actually go for all. So you could go for, as you see there, the family will, family and estate will should be, and I thought that it'd be so expensive to write a will, even at full price at £209.
It's really affordable. That's not the price with us here at Shop on TV. The offer price exclusive with us is just £89. Now you can spread the cost interest free. You've got 4 interest-free payments, just £22.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. Then we go to the lasting power of attorney. Now, this is something we'll talk more detail about later on if you're not quite sure what it is. The price, the usual price, once again, should be $349. That's down to $179 on our Shop on TV price, or $44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments.
Makes it so affordable, doesn't it? You're saving £170 there. Well, we have got both. We've got the will and lasting power of attorney. Should be £558, and that is as a special. Remember, the very last opportunities this year to get these prices, £249, and you can split that to those 4 payments of £62.25. If you actually secure the deal of the will, and then after the show you think, oh, I wish I'd secured the lasting power of attorney too, you will be able to change your mind and do that. You just need to secure these deals by Friday, on 13th at 5 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah. So please do make sure you do this. You've got an opportunity also to get to be one of the first 250 clients to get a fabulous book, What My Family Should Know. And there's an amazing drawer as well. But we should tell you how to actually secure those deals, because it is so simple. Yeah,
really straightforward. You can go direct to Simpler Law tonight. You don't go to our website, or you can, but we'll show you how that works. simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. The call centre is open right through till 3 a.m.
Bless them, they're all there, ready and waiting.
0333 600 2600. But the easiest way to get in touch, if you don't want to speak to anyone tonight, just text the word will, WILL, to 66777, and the team will get back to you later today after 11 a.m. You don't have to worry about them waking you up.
And remember, you are just securing that deal tonight, or you must do it before Friday to get the prices. But of course, you can then sort out the right time and date for you into the new year to actually speak to Simpler Law about whether it is your will or your lasting power of attorney. And there's an amazing price draw as well, which is a complete one-off and new, which is fantastic.
And we'll go more into detail in that in a few minutes. Remember, you can go directly through our website. We'll run you through all that, shopontv.co.uk, but that's all coming up in the next few minutes. Remember, these are exclusive offers, so get in touch straight away. Get in touch directly with simplerlaw.co.uk.
Merry Christmas!
Hello and a very good morning. Welcome to Shop on TV. I'm Hayley Green.
And I'm Sean Crawley.
We have got a fabulous show tonight, a show that actually shouldn't have been, if I'm honest, because our last show from Simpler Law, this is all about writing wills and lasting power of attorney, was a couple of weeks ago, but was so busy. A lot of people sadly missed out on the offer and have been in touch, and they've kindly come in just before Christmas to allow you to have the same prices and an extra special offer as well, which we'll tell you
an
about.
Extra special deal for Christmas. So tonight you were talking about writing a will, writing your lasting power of attorneys. We're working directly with Simpler Law, who are experts in the field, to bring you great prices but expert advice as well.
And it's so important to write a will. I know you may have told your family what you want to happen, and you may have said, oh, I want so-and-so to have that. They know what I want to happen, but sadly, if you haven't written this down legally and written a will legally, that doesn't happen. Then there is a will. If you haven't written your own, there is a government will. So if you do pass and you haven't written a will down, it'll have to go through the government will, and that will not honestly be the right will for you. Tonight, I really do think, just before Christmas, this is going to be the best Christmas present for your family. To tell your family, you know, I've written my will, and what I want to happen is going to happen. Or perhaps you always put everything off, and that next year you've said, I'm going to write a will next year, but will you? Will next year go into spring and then into summer? This could be your peace of mind that you've secured the deals tonight. You don't have to sort the will out before Christmas, knowing that then into the new year, perhaps that's your first New Year's resolution sorted because you actually booked these prices.
It's just
tonight.
that first step. It's getting the ball rolling.
We put everything off, don't we?
And so all you're doing tonight is securing that deal, and you've started that first step. And often that's the hardest thing of all. And they make it so easy. It's a hand-holding process. They talk you all the way through.
And the nicest thing is we've dealt with Simpler Law before they actually worked with us here at Shop on TV. They really do hold your hand. I'm frightened of anything that says law. They make it so simple. I thought everything would be really expensive as well, and honestly really affordable before our fabulous deals tonight. So please check out your prices, because these prices, last opportunity, we've held these prices from the last show, last opportunity this year to get these deals. For a will, I thought it'd be so much more than £209. You know, I thought it'd be hundreds and hundreds of pounds, possibly thousands of pounds. But our price tonight isn't even £209, £89. And if you think about splitting that into 4 payments, £22.25. We went out in London the other night, and I'll tell you, you couldn't get a glass of wine for that. That's one of 4 payments. But think about what you spend on coffee every single week, and that is your will sorted. That peace of mind that what you want to happen is going to happen. But then we've also got lasting power of attorney. Yeah,
this is something that some people might not know about, but we'll explain that as we go through the show, and you'll realise how important that is as well. So lasting power of attorney, suggested retail price of £349 comes down to £179, but with those 4 interest-free payments that they're going to offer you, it's just £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. And then the best value of all is if you go for both the will and the LPA. Should be £558 down to £249, and with those 4 interest-free payments, just £62.25.
Both so important, and you have got these prices up until Friday the 13th, so this Friday at 5 p.m. However, do it tonight. All you're doing is securing the deal. It's so easy to do as well. If you secure tonight, you could be one of the first 250 people to get this fabulous book, What My Family Should Know. And this really does allow your family to find all the information that you need. It's an absolute nightmare. You're looking through boxes trying to find letters, and it's even more complicated now because of emails and the digital age, and getting onto your tablet, getting onto your phone.
You're recording everything in there, even passwords for your laptops, your computers, etc. So we'll talk again more about that.
And that's for the first 250 people. And the lovely thing is tonight you're just securing the deal. So you can book this up into the next year as and when it's the right time for you. But you're just securing those prices. And this is how you do it. It's so easy. You don't even have to speak to anybody this evening or this morning. I do get confused what time of day it is. So you can either go onto the website or directly, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV, or the team are on the phone.
Yeah, the team are in the call centre right through till 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600 is the number.
And they're fabulous, honestly. Wait till you see the 5-star reviews. Lots of them mention the actual team that you'll be speaking, you know, certain people out of that team that you'll be speaking to tonight. Really helpful. They might be able to answer a couple of questions tonight, but it's not about questions tonight. You don't need to know anything tonight apart from you want to write your will. You want a lasting power of attorney. You want these prices. And the most popular, and I think if you're like us, sometimes you're at home and you think you've spoken to people all day. The last thing you want to do is talk to anyone right now. Texting will. And that's, you text will to 66777. That is the easiest way. You've done it. That is your New Year's resolution sorted. That's your, I know I keep putting things off. I've got to write a will. That's it done. Because then Simpler Law will get back in touch with you a little bit later on today and sort out the right time to talk to you into the new year. Yeah, so there's the 3 main ways to get in touch directly. If you want to go through our website, if you're used to taking a look at our website, ShopOnTV.co.uk, just scroll down and then you'll see when you get about halfway down the page there, the on-screen partners, click on Simpler Law. Oh, they've sneaky peeked the prize draw there. Yes, now that's brand new. This is a bonus if you do it on tonight's show, because not only can you go through our website, but if you do secure the offer tonight, you will go in to the free prize draw. Secure those offers by 5 p.m, close of business on Friday, and you will go into the free prize draw. We would say do it tonight. Absolutely. You could be in the chance to win £250 of Love to Shop vouchers. Now, if you go for a will and a lasting power of attorney, you'll go into the draw twice. If you and your partner do both, you'll go into that 4 times. So for each product, you'll go into that free prize draw. That would be nice in January, wouldn't it? Yeah, you can read all the terms and conditions. Spent all your Christmas money, you've got £250 coming in. For the sales, we like that. We like that a lot. Now, we're not alone. We have got 2 fabulous people from Simpler Law, and you will please stay with us. You'll learn so much, because if you haven't written a will, it honestly, hand on heart, is so important. Ian and Charlotte join us from Simpler Law. It's lovely to see you. A nice surprise. Yes, we said Happy Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you next year. I think tonight we'll generally say goodbye for the last time this year. This year, yeah. You were so busy. Lots of people sadly missed out on the Friday deadline, so you've kindly come back. Tell us a little bit about the law, well, not Simpler Law themselves, but actually why it's so important to write an actual will with someone like Simpler Law. I think you touched on it right at the top there, that most people have an idea of what they want to do, and they might tell family, friends, or they might just believe that it's going to happen. There's a lot of assumption around it. Yeah. But the reality is you can only know what you know, and unless you actually make your own will, and that becomes valid by getting it dated, signed and witnessed correctly, unless you create your own will, what actually happens is the government have already produced one for adults in the UK for those that don't make their own will. So there's lots of people out there who think that everyone knows their plans, but unless it's in a legally binding will of their own, it's not going to happen. And that's devastating for family members. I like what you said about Christmas as well. You know, it's a time when we're thinking more about family and loved ones. Well, this is the ultimate gift for them. It is. Because it's quite a selfless thing to make your will, but you will definitely get something out of it. It's your last gift to your family, isn't it? Yeah, and I think... And to yourself, I think. It's peace of mind, isn't it, to yourself? Absolutely, but I think the key is there's lots of people who do have either a very good idea or at least half an idea of what they would want to happen. There's lots of people out there who assume that things are going to happen, but the reason we do these shows, and I think the reason they're being successful, is it's making people generally go, oh, my assumption was wrong, or oh, I did generally just think that if I told my son, my wishes would be carried out. Yeah. And obviously we live in a land of law, so without a valid will, your wishes won't be carried out. It'll basically follow a set of rules put in by the government called the rules of intestacy. And we've got that, and it really is. You've written so many wills over the years. You've never written a will that we're seeing on the screen. This isn't right, I don't think, for anybody, is it? It's not personal. It doesn't care about us as individuals. It doesn't care about our families or our loved ones. It is literally a default position, which is understandable, because if you pass away without making your own will, there'd be anarchy if people could just decide on anything. Right. So the law says that if you've not made your own will, you get the government will. And that's all reliant on your marital status and then on your bloodline. So it doesn't work for families that
It certainly doesn't work for unmarried couples, and it doesn't work for families who might be on second relationships or third relationships. And if you've got children from previous relationships, it sounds really melodramatic, but dying without your own will can make that even worse, because the rules of intestacy, it sounds melodramatic, tears that family apart because it doesn't recognise different bloodlines.
Yeah.
Even though you feel you are a complete family by the government law, and the will, you're not. It's frightening. We didn't realise we've been together 33, 34 years. We had decided last time. I think
don't know, do we?
I can't remember. I think it was 34. But our director said 34. We're 34 years, and we presume everybody knows what's mine is Sean's. What Sean is mine. Our families would know that. Everybody. We wouldn't think for a minute that if one of us passed, it wouldn't go to either the opposite, but actually, because of the government will, that wouldn't have happened at all. Luckily, we realised before, and wrote a will, but we hadn't realised.
And we'll talk you through those series of questions and what actually happens if you don't have a will. That's why it's really important to get yourself
and it's
a will.
so affordable
and
tonight.
At this kind of price, at
So
£89. And don't just think it's monetary things. There are so many things you can do with a will, as you can see here. Things like choosing your executors. This was an important one, choosing what age your children and grandchildren inherit. Again, we'll go into lots more
Could be
detail
what you want
with
to happen
Ian
to your
and Charlotte.
pets. It could be family heirlooms, and I think you forget sometimes. You think you haven't got anything, but you have the house that you live in, you have the car that you drive around. That you always have something, and you know who you want those things to go to. But unless it's written down by law, sadly, it doesn't happen like that. And you'd be gutted if you were looking down and seeing family fallout because what you wanted to happen isn't happening because you never got round to writing that will. Now, we're going to go into more depth about wills, but there is lasting power of attorney as well.
Yeah, and Charlotte, we'll bring you in here if we can, because lasting powers of attorney is another service that you offer, but it's probably a phrase that people have heard, but they might not know what it means.
Yeah. A will is inevitable. We're going to need to use a will at some point, but a power of attorney, these are documents where, well, you need these while you're alive. So you put them while you're alive, but while you've got capacity. Yes, I'll get that right. So these are documents for while you've got capacity. If you can nominate who you trust to essentially become you when you've lost your capacity. So it could be ill health.
Right.
Dementia is quite prevalent. Yeah, it could be a freak accident. So these are documents where you nominate who you trust to make your decisions for you in that scenario. But the importance with these is you have to put them in place whilst you've got the capacity to do so.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because then if the worst should happen, those documents are there and the people that you trust can become you.
Because again, I think like you presume with a will, you presume with lasting power of attorney. If I look after my mum, so if something happened to mum, I would expect that everybody would know that, and if and I could do everything for her. But obviously, I can't, can I?
It's similar misconceptions with wills, really. You just assume, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't wake up in the morning and think, what's going to happen if I lose my capacity, or what's going to happen when I pass away, unless you've experienced it through friends and family, or you've actually gone and done your own research. This is why these shows are so important, because we want to educate people on what would happen in that scenario, so that you've got the right to make that decision and put that document in place.
Yeah, we don't mean to be patronising when we say that. When you say you want to educate someone,
no,
but
not at all.
No.
But this information isn't readily available.
It's not. None of us knew. Our producer tonight is saying, I just didn't realise. You just take things for granted. You think things are going to happen.
Assume things.
Or perhaps someone's mentioned, well, you've lived together all those years. Of course, yours will be theirs, and that seems fair, doesn't it? But actually, that's not what happens at all. And it's the same with the lasting power of attorney. And there's two. And this will make sense to you, because I was like, of course I'll be able to do everything for mum. But actually, I couldn't go into a bank now and ask to do anything with her finances.
No, so while you've got capacity, if anyone tries to contact your bank or an energy provider, any independent like that,
they always want to speak to mum.
Yeah. Exactly, and they're going to ask you to go through that process.
Well, they always say, first question, are you the account holder?
Yeah.
And if you say no, it stops there.
Exactly, yeah. And if you think that person's then lost their capacity, it's going to be even stronger.
Yeah, so you're more vulnerable, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So there are two types. Can you explain how that works?
Of course, yeah. So the first one is called property and financial affairs. So this one, again, is who you trust. So whether that was one person, a couple of people, they can essentially make decisions on, accessing your bank accounts, so paying your bills, managing anything from a financial point of view. So you can see on the screen there, claiming pensions, if you're receiving any benefits, If you've got property, they can manage that property while you're unable to. So again, these things don't stop because you've lost capacity. So this is really, really important.
So there's still bills to pay, but there's no way of actually sorting anything out because
Exactly.
you haven't got the, it's not law. You're not able. You're not allowed to do it.
Data protection unless you've got that power of attorney. And this is why these documents are important to put in place now, whilst you've got capacity, because you're saying that I trust this person. I'm giving this person power for if that curveball comes.
And this is how we learnt about you, because I did lasting power of attorney for my mum. And because we had heard, sadly, you often hear about these things through other people being poorly and the traumas they have. So we thought we've got to get this done. And we were petrified. I'm hopeless, anything with the law. If the police car's flashing behind me, I'm like, I'm the one that's pulling over, even though I know I didn't do anything. And everything scares me. And I was like, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to ask the wrong question.
But the process.
They make it so simple.
So
it's just like sitting with us tonight and having a real simple chat. You don't need to know. You don't need to know anything, because the information that they need from you will come out in conversation. Honestly, it's so simple. So we came to you originally, and I can still remember we spoke to two ladies, and they were both fabulous, and we became friends really.
Yeah.
But we came initially for the sort of the money side of things.
Financial side.
Yeah.
But then you told us about the actual health side, and I was like to Mum, this is just or even more important, I think, in my mind.
Absolutely, yeah. So the other document's called Health and Welfare. So again, you're nominating that person or people that you trust to become you. But in this document, they essentially can discuss where you're living. So if you need to go into a care home, for example, or if they want you to stay at home with them, they can make that choice. It could be that your children want to care for you at home. And they know that that's your wish.
Yeah.
So they have the right to make that decision on your behalf.
Now, wasn't there a story in the papers? It was a nurse, I think, and she took her mum out of the home for Christmas, and didn't they end up arresting her? It got really...
Yeah, unfortunately, these these aren't isolated stories, because it's like you said, you care for your mum, everyone knows that you care for your mum. And I think that lady was a nurse. She took her mum out without permission, because she hasn't got permission to take her mum from the home. And the police caught up with her, I believe, at a supermarket. And she was like, well, I know how to care for my mum and I'm a nurse, but we can't just go and randomly take someone out of the care system. But if you nominate, we're actually called a donor when we make a lasting power of attorney, because we donate our power. So if you do, these shows are all about taking control. If you make a lasting power of attorney, you've taken control by saying, this is the person or these are the people that I would want to make decisions for me if I couldn't make them for myself. If you make your own will, you've taken control of everything you worked hard for your entire life and said, this is what I want to happen when I'm no longer here. If you don't have a will and you don't have a lasting power of attorney, your last acts on planet Earth aren't your own. They're somebody else's. With a lasting power of attorney, it's going to be a court. With a will, it's going to be the government rules. So the reason we do these shows is, what I've learned over the last 25 years is when people assume something, it's actually not an assumption, it's a hope. It's like when I die, I hope that my wishes are carried out. If I lose capacity, I trust that my son or my daughter or my wife or my husband will be able to step into my shoes. But without the correct authority and without the correct document, unfortunately, none of that happens. So these really awful situations, bereavement's awful, losing capacity is awful. And I'm not saying these documents make those easier.
No.
But actually, having those documents in place for your family and your loved ones doesn't make a bad situation, or indeed a terrible situation, worse.
No, without a doubt.
And it's such a selfless thing, but you will get something out of going through this process as well, because you'll get that peace of mind that you've looked after your family the best that you can. It's a great Christmas gift.
It's an amazing Christmas gift, and it truly is your opportunity tonight to do exactly that. It's your last gift to your family if you're writing a will. It's your Christmas gift to your family. Perhaps you don't really buy presents now, but when the family's all together, I've written my will, exactly what we've spoken about, because even if you spoke to your family and you've told everybody what you want to happen when you die, it's completely irrelevant.
If it's not written down in a legal document, and it's got to be a legal document that's signed and witnessed, and we'll talk you through all of that as we go through. The best value of all that you see on the screen is the will and the lasting power of attorney.
But we'll show you all the prices again, because perhaps it is just the will that you're after this evening, and all you're doing tonight is securing those deals. So it is the last opportunity this year. This show shouldn't have been on. We did our last show a couple of weeks ago. So busy, and a lot of people sadly did miss out. There's always was a deadline, and the deadline is this time Friday, the 13th, and it was Friday last time as well. And very sadly, a lot of people missed out and said, you know, can you please? So we have bought, and they've kindly come back, Simply Law, and brought the show forward before Christmas, where they weren't meant to be with us till the new year.
But it is all just about securing those deals tonight, making sure you get those prices, having it in place, and there's even a bonus prize draw we'll talk about as we go through the show. So if you want to get yourself a will, it should be the suggested retail price of £209 comes down to £89. It's so affordable. And then with the 4 interest-free payments, £22.25 on your first of 4 payments.
I bet you spend more on that, you know, on coffee every week. And, you know, if you think about what you spend on coffee, prices are so high, and that is your will sorted. That's your last gift to your family. It's done.
In place then,
and complete peace of mind. We put things off, don't we? Don't put them off. Actually secure that deal now, and you don't have to then, you know, sit down and speak about it until the new year. You're just securing that deal. And lasting power of attorney, which we just went into, and we will go into more detail, I think is just as important. Should be £349, £179. I mean, that's virtually half price. You're saving £170 with us tonight. Remember, this all finishes these prices on Friday at 5 o'clock, and you can split that into 4 payments, £44.75. Our takeaway is more than that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, that's why when you've got this in place at such an affordable price, it's making such a difference to you and the family. And the best value of all, a will and a lasting power of attorney. Suggested retail price of £558 comes down to £249, and then with those interest-free payments, it makes it so affordable.
Now, with that, you're saving more than you're spending. Now, don't panic if you're sat at home thinking, "Oh, I'm not really sure. I definitely want a will. Should I do lasting power of attorney?" If you change your mind when you sit down and speak to the team, and you think, "Well, I wish I'd put the lasting power of attorney on as well," I know they will sort it for you. Just make sure you get in touch and secure those deals tonight. And actually, definitely do it tonight, because then you've got the opportunity to get one of these books. The first 250 people get this fabulous book.
Yeah, this is a place where you store everything that anybody needs to know when you do pass. It's not just about pensions and assets and bank accounts. It's also about things like passwords for your computer and your phone, because we store so much digitally now. First 250 people will receive that book. It's brilliant, £25 worth.
Those passwords are so important, aren't they? We actually had a relative whose father died, and it was a complete shock to them, and nobody knew how to get onto his iPad or his tablet, and they were like, there's so much information and photographs, personal things, but so many emails, so much information they needed. Luckily, the grandson sort of heard them talking, and he only young. He's like, I know Granddad's password. So they could get on it, but that could be vital information, or that photo you cherished, but it's on their tablet. It's all in that book. That book is so good. But please do it now, and it's so easy. You don't even need to speak to anybody tonight if you don't want to. It's fabulous.
Really easy to get in touch. You can go directly to Simpler Law's website, simplerlaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV. You can call the call centre. The team are there right through till 3 a.m. And you don't need any documents. You don't need any information. They're just there to secure the deals for you tonight, and then they'll give you a call back and arrange the appointments whenever you want to do the appointments. That's the other great thing. It's all around your schedule. 0333 600 2600 is the phone number. However, the most popular way on these nighttime shows is usually the texting service, and you just text the word will, WILL, to 66777.
I love that, because you don't need to speak to anybody. It's done. It's really easy. I enter all the competitions where you just text, a word. I never win, but you are winning tonight, because you've either made that last gift to your family. It's that Christmas present sorted. What you want to happen with your belongings, if it's a will you're sorting tonight, is going to happen, or you've actually stopped putting it off. And next year, 2025, you've actually already secured that deal, so you will get that will in place, because we do put things off time and time again.
It could be, though, that you just never get round to it, because this takes place and this takes place, and life gets in the way. This is just taking...
My mum is still on a dangerous patio, and we were going to sort that patio out the year before last year. My director's going, you were sorting that? We were, yeah, but we still haven't phoned the man. We still haven't got the man round to do it. We still haven't had it done because we keep putting it off. You know, oh, we'll wait till after this. We'll wait till after Christmas, and then it's spring. We'll wait till the summer, and then the summer's gone. We'll wait. Oh, now it's the winter. We'll wait till next year. We're so good at putting things off, but today is the day to get everything sorted for a lot of reasons, actually, because you've got that peace of mind that you've done it. But actually, there's there's lots of easy ways to get in contact, but you're also going to go into a draw. You can contact us actually through our website, ShopOnTV. So if you want to do that, perhaps you always do that, go through, just scroll down to sort of halfway down. There's Simpler Law. Click on that. It'll take you through to their page. And if you scroll down, there's just a name, address, and pieces just to fill in. It's all there. But did you notice that little draw?
Well, yeah, on tonight's show for the first time, there's a bonus offer. If you
We've never done this.
No, you do secure any of the offers tonight, you will go into a free prize draw. You could win £250 worth of Love to Shop vouchers. Definitely do it tonight, I would say. And if you go into that draw, if you buy a will and an LPA, you'll go into the draw twice.
Fabulous.
If you and your partner do a will and an LPA, you'll go into the draw 4 times. So for each product you purchase or you secure, you'll go into that prize draw to win £250 worth of Love to Shop vouchers.
And do it tonight, because you tend to forget, don't you? It'll be Saturday when I missed out. Well, a couple of things, actually. I missed out on a break. There was an amazing deal on a weekend break. It was in between Christmas and New Year. Fabulous price, really good price. I was like, should we do it? Should we not? Should we do it? Yes, let's do it. Went back on, gone up £600. Gutted. Are we going away between Christmas and New Year? No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. So it's no good.
I'm trying not to smile.
Yeah. It's all right for you.
Still bitter.
No.
Yeah.
Like
Now-
Sean said, at least you've let it go.
Yeah. And we are going to go more into detail about Simpler Law and about wills. It's so important, Ian, for everyone to have a will, isn't it?
Yeah, you said something really important there about, getting these documents in place. You don't need anything tonight. We make it easy for you to contact us. And for me, it's about not having regret. Regret's something that nobody wants. And it sounds really cheesy when I say it, but it's absolutely true. Is no one ever regrets putting a will in place or ever regrets having a lasting power of attorney, because there is nothing to regret. But sadly, we hear far too often families regretting that their loved one didn't have a will or didn't have a lasting power of attorney, because that's when it goes wrong, because that person didn't take control. We do these shows to get to people to say, take control of what happens to you. Take control of what happens to you if you're incapacitated. But more importantly, because we know a will's always going to be used, don't let a set of rules that the government's put in place dictate what happens to everything you've worked hard for.
Because that's what will happen. If you haven't got a will, there's a government will.
Yeah.
And that isn't right, I don't think,
it just
for
takes everything out of your hands.
anybody. For me and Sean, that have been together, we've worked it out now 34 years. If one of us had passed, it doesn't consider us at all, because it wouldn't have gone, you'd have presumed we've been together we've virtually lived together for 34 years. I deserve his money, surely. But the truth is, if you passed first, it wouldn't have come to me. If I passed first, it wouldn't have gone to, and all our family know that's the way we'd want it, but it wouldn't have happened, because that law, that chart you saw, we're not on it.
Ian, it is a series of very basic yes/no questions.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, the rules themselves were put into place. Next year, they'll be in place 100 years.
Gosh.
So society was very different when this was set up. And, and various people have looked at it over the years to try and change it. But our lives are just too complex. So that's why it is a very simple default position. But unfortunately, there'll be lots of people watching this show who have no idea that that's their will if they haven't made their own.
And as an example, because we obviously 100 years, most people stayed together, didn't they? And they got married, they had 2 children, 4 children, they stayed together forever. Life is very different now. We have a lot of marriages where people have been married before, they've got children from other family, we've got a blended family, which to them, they're a family.
Yeah.
But if you haven't written a will, all of a sudden, those children are very different, aren't they?
Yeah, the rules aren't capable of seeing that. It's all about your marital status and your bloodline. So unfortunately, forgive the finger puppets, but it's not unusual for us now to speak to clients who might be on the second marriage, and those people might have had children from previous relationships, as you said. They might even have a child together.
Yeah.
So now we've got this blended dynamic family. But unfortunately, the rules of intestacy, the first question it asks of the person that's passed away, so if you die without a will, it'll say, was the person married? And that's yes or no. You're either married and in a civil partnership or you're not. We hear all too often, oh, we're common law husband and wife.
That's what we thought, yeah.
No such thing.
That it doesn't
That's not a
exist,
legal
does
position. Or I've heard things recently where people say, oh, we've lived together for 2 years. And okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't change.
No.
The question is, are you married or in a civil partnership? Not are you in love, not do you live together, not have you been together 33 or 34 years. But in all seriousness, are you married in a civil partnership, yes or no? And then depending on your answer, there's a series of yes and no questions. So in the example I was about to give, where you've got a couple that are married for the second time, if Mr. passed away, for example, and he'd had children from previous relationships, and Mrs. had got children from previous relationships, when he passed away, the first £322,000 of his estate will go to his wife under the rules of intestacy. Now, they might have understood and thought that all their children together collectively are just going to share equally from their shared estate. But then when Mrs. passes away, the rules of intestacy only send it down her bloodline to her children.
So his children don't get anything?
His children aren't entitled to a penny. So it's a lottery, I don't like using that phrase, but it's a lottery as to which parent passes away first, as to which children are going to lose out. And that's the regret, because then it can get really fractious, contentious.
Of course.
You hear so many families break up, don't you, in these sort of situations, and that makes you sort of understand how those things can
sadly, it is the single biggest reason for a breakdown in family relationships is a bereavement, because emotions are up there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound crass, but when money's in the mix, that can change people.
Changes the way people behave, doesn't
and so,
it?
and you know, and I think what a lot of our clients realise when they're going through this process with us is we do have to take you to a dark place for 1 minute. Charlotte will be a better place to tell you about the process, but it's not morbid, it's not difficult, it's quite cathartic. But we do take you to a dark place for 1 minute and say, if you passed away yesterday, what would you like to see happen? And there's that moment where they realise that if they've passed away, their influence has passed with them as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes families are all held together by our clients. And it's almost like, oh, if I'd not done this, that would have been a problem, that would have been a problem. So it really is a selfless thing to do, but it's actually a really, really important thing for you to do, because you've worked hard for everything that you've got.
Yeah.
Don't let a 100-year set of government rules
take over.
be the last thing that you do, because it should be. You should take control of that. So that's why we do these shows. We want to reach as many people as we can and say, if you think that something might happen, ask yourself why you think that. If you're assuming that something's going to happen, again, ask yourself why you assume that. It might be the pub quiz champion told you.
Yeah.
Because we hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, he knows a lot of things. Well, speak to an expert. Or, you know, we're on TV, we're not going to lie to you. If you don't make your own will, you will get a government will. Whatever you think was going to happen won't happen without you doing it for yourself. So please, if you sat there with your phone tonight, just text the word will to 66777. We'll come back to you. You'll never regret sending that text. Charlotte's colleagues are in the office now. Phone 0333 600 2600. It'll be the best thing you can do for yourself and your family for Christmas. I'm not suggesting you put I made a will under your Christmas tree. And it's not the most traditional of gifts, but in all seriousness, it's such an amazing thing that you're doing for your family.
It's going to be your last gift for your loved ones. And I don't know what happens when we pass, but I would like to think that my dad's looking down on me, and wouldn't it be horrendous if you were looking down and we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and you're looking down and you're watching your family all fall to pieces. And you're told everybody knew what you wanted, but it's not happening because you didn't actually write that will. And it's heartbreaking.
The reasons are all there to choose simpler law, because Charlotte, talk us through simpler law being experts, but also, like Ian was saying, you're part of the team that people at home will deal with, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And we're fully trained to do that. And you've said it earlier on in the show, this is a hand-holding service.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's what we're really proud of. We have 5-star Trustpilot reviews.
Yeah.
these reviews are named reviews.
They
It's
are.
about the people.
It's
that
not
people
simpler
deal with.
law they
Absolutely.
mention as such. It is Charlotte.
Yeah, it's always Charlotte. No, but it'll be like Charlotte or Jack or Gemma.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so special and so
You've become friends, and we've got a 5-star review
you
right
can
there
see-
for you, Charlotte.
And this is our Charlotte here in the studio. My consultation was done by Charlotte. She was very professional, explained thoroughly each stage, making sure it was firstly what I wanted and that I also understood any advice that she gave me. Excellent service. It's not scary, is it? And we can say that because we went through the process with Hayley's
Did
mum.
you pay someone to leave that?
He's cruel.
No, absolutely. Every client is so important. You know, we don't lose the fact that this could be the first time someone's making a will. It could be the second, third time. It's still a really, really important document. It's personal to you. You don't need to have the answers. You don't need to have any answers today. You just need to make the step.
That's
We
another
will
great
take-
point. You don't need any documents, do you, right now?
No, not now. Not even at consultation
No.
stage.
Okay.
It's very much a conversation, isn't it? I did panic, will we know everything? What do we need? And we didn't really need anything other than to sit down and to speak to you, because just through the conversation, what you need to know, you find from us. Yeah.
You've got all the answers.
Yeah.
It's our job to find them, and that's what it is. It's a conversation, and you might actually have a little bit of fun. A lot
Yeah,
of the clients do
you
say
become
that.
friends. You do, yeah.
Absolutely. We're just asking you to take the step today. We will arrange a time that's best for you at the comfort of your own home. Cup of tea, sit in bed if you really want to.
Yeah.
It's your choice. It can be before Christmas, it can be after Christmas. Whatever is best for you, we will take the time. Some people can come to us and clients will say, I know exactly what I want to do, and that's absolutely fine. Other clients will come and have absolutely no idea. That's also fine. That's what we're there for. We're there to help you through it.
You don't need any
Your
answers,
pace.
do you?
Not at all. No.
And I think
you
there's-
just need to make that first step.
There's so many things we don't think about. Like when we saw that page a moment ago, it said about the age children receive money. I hadn't thought of that. But obviously, when you're when would you get them? And would you be 17?
Yes, there's so much people don't realise about a will, but legally it's 18 years old
18.
that children can inherit. But speaking to clients, we've all been 18.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients
It's
would
so
actually
young,
raise
isn't
that
it?
To 21, 23. You can go even older than that. But these are the things we talk about when we're going through the consultation that you might not have actually even thought yourselves.
No.
Or you might have done, but not actually had that conversation.
And the other thing I hadn't thought about either is if you do awfully, if two parents died, what happens to your children can be in
you
your
haven't
will,
written
and that's
anything
so important,
Guardianship.
isn't it?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, so by writing the will, you can actually appoint a guardianship clause in there, so you can nominate who you trust again to take care of your children if the worst should happen. But without the will, that clause doesn't exist. So you're essentially relying on the right person to step forward in that scenario. But who is that right person? It might not be someone you would have initially picked if you had that conversation. And you've also got to consider, if you've got a very close family, you could have two sets of grandparents
Yes,
that
that
step forward. And this is where potentially there
causes
can be
more,
conflict.
yeah.
Absolutely. And you've got children at the age of 18 in this scenario that have lost parents, that could be going through a family conflict, and very, very, very worst case scenario, if it's going through the courts, could become a ward of the court at that point.
Oh gosh, and I mean,
When-
there's so much heartbreak already.
Yeah, absolutely. And all it takes is for you to take that first step today and put it in a legal binding document to state who that person would be.
And again, we presume these things. Ian, if we're godparents, you become a godparent thinking you're going to look after those children if anything happens, but that's not the case, is it at all?
No, and these assumptions are totally understandable. You have godparents, but that's obviously a religious position. Most parents I speak to, they know who they would want their children to go to.
Yeah.
Of course.
But this is the point of this show again. Unless that is documented in a legally binding document, it's meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have had that conversation with your sister or with your best friend or with your parents, and ultimately it might be them. We're not saying it wouldn't be, but you're not guaranteeing it and you're not laying it down in a legal document. So ultimately what would happen if you passed away and your children were underage is it is then down to a court to say, so someone that's never met you, never met your children and never met your family, it's then their decision, and you've got to hope they get it right, when all along you knew who you want them to go to.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we've got two young boys. Clearly we've got a will. That would be a bit embarrassing if I hadn't. But of course we've named our guardians, and whilst I don't dwell on that, I don't think about that because I want to think that me and Jeannie are going to see the boys to grow up.
Yeah.
We've done the best we can for our boys, but we've got that peace of mind that we know that they will go to the people that we want them to go to, like-minded, same values,
Right.
that the boys love them, they love the boys.
Right.
So any doubt or, fear is removed because we've done that for our children. And again, I think there's a lot of people out there who just assume that it will go to the people that they want it to, godparents, best friends, sister, and it doesn't.
It's not the case.
No, and it's not automatic. But you draft a will, and we can put a clause in there that says you want to pass your parental responsibility to this person. If anyone's got children, you'll know if you've ever had to sign anything for school, there's only two sets of people that can do that: a parent or a guardian.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously, whilst you're alive, you're the parent. Whilst you're alive, you're a parent, and obviously, if you sadly do pass away whilst your children are young, you can choose who brings them up,
Who is the guardian?
and they become the guardian.
Yeah.
And is it important for everybody to write a will? We're talking a lot about families, or if you're in a relationship.
That's another thing I think with misconceptions, isn't it? I'm too young, I'm not married, all those things. But it's important for everyone.
I was really taken by a story which I'll ask Ian about now, about a gentleman on his own. And I completely understand, and obviously I don't know why he didn't write a will, but in my mind I was thinking, well, yeah, if I was just a single person, I know I'm not married, I haven't got children, I've got no one particularly to leave anything to, I probably wouldn't think about writing a will. But tell us this story. It's the young man who...
He was a doctor, I think, wasn't
Yeah.
Medical consultant.
And he was quite young, wasn't he?
He was young, he was in his 40s. You're quite right, we'll never know why he didn't write a will. Did he assume everything would go the way that he thought it would? The backstory was that when this gentleman was born, his dad left his mum, never to be seen or heard from again. So for all intents and purposes, mum's now a single parent bringing up two boys, and devastatingly, she lost her youngest son only when he was in his 40s. But he was a successful gentleman. He was a medical consultant from memory, so relatively wealthy and academic person. So you kind of think, well, would he have known to make a will? As I said, we'll never understand that. So he passed away having not made a will, which meant he did die intestate, so he got the government will. Now, obviously, he's only known his mum and his brother. He's had no contact from his father, not even birthday cards. His dad left and was never heard from again. When he died, because he died intestate, the first question that was asked under the rules of intestacy was the person that passed away married or in a civil partnership. The answer was no. The next question says, does that person have any children? The answer was no. The next question, therefore, is, did that person have any parents? The answer was yes. His estate was to be split equally between his parents.
That's awful.
So,
Isn't it?
so his mum's not only lost, I mean, how awful for a parent to lose a
Absolutely.
child, that's one of the worst things, but then it's been compounded because she's
got to find the father.
had to find
Just had to contact
her
him.
ex-husband who walked
That
out on him when
left
he
her.
was a baby, who had nothing to do with him at all, but he was legally entitled to half, and most people are shaking their heads and going, that's not fair, it's not right.
Yeah.
And morally we can all understand that, but legally it's absolutely right, unfortunately. And this again is back to the assumption he might have assumed, well, everything will go to my mum because she's raised me. But the rules of intestacy are very clear. It goes to parents in equal shares. So yeah, so the father inherited half of the estate. And all these, and there's thousands of these stories,
Yes.
sadly, and we hear them every day. The frustrating thing, and it sounds really selfish for us to say we're frustrated, all of these can be fixed with a very short phone call.
Yeah.
And it can start tonight with a text or a quick phone call. And everything you've said this morning is absolutely spot on. You don't need to know now what you want in your will. You might not fully understand the lasting power of attorney if you want to do a lasting power of attorney, but it's our job to fully explain, who you should choose, why you should choose them, how they can work together. We will not produce your documents for you unless you're 100% happy with the advice we've given you and you're 100% happy with the instructions you've given us. Because at the end of the day, these are your documents. They're not ours, they're yours. We just make sure that they work and that they're accurate. There's a reason we carry professional indemnity insurance of £5 million. If we get it wrong, you and your family are covered. Touch wood, we've never got it wrong. We've never had a will fail. because this is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
This is what we specialise in. So don't leave it to chance. Don't leave it to, well, my son knows I'm my husband's. Do it legally, do it correctly. Do something amazing with your family. Do something amazing just before Christmas. Text 66777. Text the word will to that number. Or speak to one of Charlotte's colleagues now. They're in, you know, they're probably eating pizza about this time.
Yeah.
We are nice and we feed them when they're working.
You're
in the
very
house,
kind.
But in all seriousness, you'll never regret making that phone call this morning. You'll never regret sending that text. Sadly, your family may at some point in the future regret that you didn't put those plans in place. And that's why we do these shows, is please think about it. Because honestly, you don't want to die intestate. And if you lost capacity, you don't want your family to have to deal with the courts to be able to help you. It's all fixable.
Yeah.
When you hear all those stories, every story I think starts to relate to you or somebody you know, and you suddenly think, hang on, but I thought, I presumed that definitely, I've told all the kids, I've told all the family, you know, we've been together 34 years, of course my money will go to Sean and Sean's will go to me. It's not the case at all.
Not unless it's written.
The government will, which is there if you haven't written a will, I don't think is right for anybody at all.
And most people, I don't think, could even know that that exists. No. If you haven't got a will, Ian tells us about when he does training with the team and he says, who's got a will? And people put the hand up or don't put the hand up, and then he's like, but you have got a will, you've got the government will, the rules of intestacy will fall into place if you don't have your wishes written down. And that's why it's so important and so easy to take control, isn't it?
And so affordable tonight. We have got incredible prices, and this is your final gift to your family, and this could be your Christmas present to your family. You know, getting it sort of prepped right now. Obviously, you can speak to the team into the new year. You can sit down and sort out a date that's right for you. But what you're doing tonight is securing these prices. So you can see here, if you want to go for the family estate and will, I thought it'd be so expensive. You know, we get it all wrong. Expensive and complicated. It's completely the opposite. Really affordable at £209. But actually, Simple Law have kindly given us our last prices. They bought them back for this show. Wasn't meant to be another show before Christmas, but lots of you sadly missed out. So £89 is your Shop on TV offer tonight, but you need to secure that deal. I would say do it, you know, this morning. You've got up until Friday, but don't forget, and on Saturday, wish you'd done it. And it's gone back up because you're saving £120 tonight, and you've got 4 payments. You can split that cost to £22.25, and just think about what you spend on coffee, and that's your will written, knowing what you want to happen, all that you've worked so hard for. What you want to happen is going to happen, and sometimes what you don't want to happen is sorted as well. But then we've got lasting power of attorney as well.
We are going to go more into detail about lasting power of attorney if you're wondering what that's all about and how the details work. Usually they're £349 down to £179, so just £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. And then the best offer of all is if you combine the two, so you go for a will and a lasting power of attorney. Suggested retail price of £558 comes down to £249, and on those 4 interest-free payments that Simpler Law offer, £62.25. Now remember, the first 250 people will also receive that free book, What My Family Should Know. We'll talk about that.
It's so good, that book.
It's brilliant.
And that's another reason to get it done tonight, just to secure the deal. Because all you need to do to secure the deal, don't need any information. You don't even need to speak to anybody if you don't want to. You just need to get in touch either by simplerlaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV, or the team are in the office right now up until 3 a.m. So you can ring 0333 600 2600. You can, if there's a couple of questions you want to ask, they can answer them, but they're always really busy. All they want to know is you want to secure that deal and secure the will deal. And if you think, oh, I wish I'd done the lasting power of attorney too, I know when you speak to them properly, they will sort that out because you've secured the prices.
And they'll honour those deals for you.
And I love the text. That's the easiest.
If you've got your phone there with you right now and you want to secure that offer, you don't want to speak to anyone, you can just text the word will to 66777. The team will get back to you tomorrow. It won't be in the morning. It'll be after 11 o'clock. So
they know you're up late with us.
I mean today, obviously. Yeah. So that's the 3 simple ways.
The text is always really, really popular because you've done it and you've got peace of mind. Perhaps you'll sleep a little bit better tonight. Oh my goodness, I've done it. I think sometimes we put things off. And if you think, well, I normally get in touch via Shop on TV, you can do it through our website as well if you want to. It's so simple to actually just get in contact tonight and secure the prices, and then go to bed with that peace of mind that that's a job done. Or we've got a bit of a competition to tell you about as well, or a prize draw. That's all you need to fill up on our page. So it's really simple information. But if you are securing the deal, and we've never done this before,
No,
this is very
this
exciting.
is a brand new offer. You could be in the chance to win £250 worth of Love to Shop vouchers. All they've got to do is secure the offer. And if you go for a will and a lasting power of attorney, you'll get 2 entries.
Oh, you go into what I like.
Yeah,
that.
if you and your partner do it and do a will and a lasting power of attorney, you'll get 4 entries. What we would say, though, is these offers are only available until close of business on Friday. I'd say do it now. Get in touch right now.
You tend to forget, don't you?
It's about taking that first step. We say sometimes you put these kind of things off, but for me, it's about not getting round to it because something else gets in the way.
You'll think, I'll wait till after Christmas. I'll do it after Christmas, and then it will be past Christmas. Then it will be spring. When, we'll wait till the summer. Then you're booking your summer holiday. Oh, we'll wait till we come back off holiday, and then all of a sudden it'll be next Christmas, and you'll think, why didn't I haven't done it again? Or there may be a situation where it's too late, and you think, why didn't I? I watched that programme. Why didn't I secure that will?
I felt very old putting the Christmas decorations up because I vividly remembered putting them away this January.
Oh no!
And I'm like, this has gone
frightening,
far.
Way too quick.
I'm like,
before we know it, we're going to be changing the clocks again because we're now at Christmas. It's it's just around the the time goes so quickly, and we put things off. If you secure those deals today, it's like that plan. I'm going to do it next year. It's going to happen. It's that first step, and that's sometimes the hardest thing. And once you've done that, it's sorted, and it's so simple. It's also simple to do with Simpler Law. They're amazing.
Now, if you've already got a will, Charlotte, if anyone at home's watching and they've already got a will, can they still take advantage of the offers?
Absolutely, yeah. It's worth checking the will because is it still relevant to you? When did you write the will?
Right.
Yes.
So is it signed correctly? Did you ever get
Now, these things are really important, aren't they? Because even you might have a will, but if it wasn't done correctly, so perhaps someone's bought one of those.
Oh, he doesn't.
I don't want to say it.
The templates. He's twitching already.
I know. The steam.
They've bought a template that they're going to, and they've filled it out themselves. It's so easy to do those wrong, isn't it?
yeah, I understand why they exist, but they annoy me, truthfully, because
Well, there's no expertise there, is there?
a template will give you no advice. You've got no insurance, and it's totally reliant on your own knowledge. And it's almost worse than not doing a will in one sense, because we see these self-drafted wills, and when they go wrong, which sadly quite often they do, or they don't quite achieve what they wanted to achieve, it's like the client knew they needed a will,
Of course, yeah.
And they,
but they decided to do it themselves. And these templates cost money, by the way, so they're not free.
Yeah.
But obviously you can do it yourself for free, if that makes sense. But we're offering these wills today for the equivalent of just over 70 pence a day. So the cost shouldn't be a barrier to making these wills. And speak to someone like Charlotte, who's trained, who's going to give you expert advice, who's going to hold your hand through the whole process. And we as a business are going to look after you right to the point where it's dated, signed and witnessed correctly. We don't just take your instructions and say good luck, goodbye. We want to make sure that the whole process is done correctly for you. A template won't give you any of that. So it is quite sad when we see them sometimes, because it's like a client knew they needed a will, they tried to do it
and knew what they
themselves.
wanted and what they wanted to happen, because they've written it wrong.
And I'm not being critical, but, and it's an awful thing when you use the word ignorant or ignorance, it sounds really sort of, almost aggressive. But we're all ignorant to things that we don't know. I jump in a car and press the start button. I have no idea how an internal combustion engine works. I just know how to drive a car, and some people that have been in my car would argue I don't know how to drive. Yeah. But in all seriousness, and the running joke this year has been my dodgy tooth, which is finally fixed, and I've got a crown. But I didn't try and fix that myself, because no one in the right mind would think, oh, I'll go on the internet and see how I fix my own tooth.
Do that.
Yeah.
It's.
So the professions and experts exist for a reason, because they know more than we do in their profession.
Tell us as an example. There was, and I like you to hear the stories, because they're real, true stories, and I think it really relates. And we're just like, no. You think, how did that happen?
Because it sounds like it's not right, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
There was a gentleman, and he wrote his own will, but because he'd written it incorrectly, when he died, rather than it going to his wife, there was confusion with grandchildren, and it was all...
Yes.
They wanted to leave gifts to the grandchildren, and the family understood what they tried to do, because they said, oh, we've made some cash provisions for the grandkids. And so they'd written wills following a template, so it's very, very basic. But what they hadn't understood is, this sounds a bit weird and technical, but when there's a couple, there's always a first death and a second death. And he owned the house outright, and his wife didn't. But it was obviously he wanted his wife to be able to continue to live in the house, and then when they both passed away, that's when they wanted the cash gifts to go to the grandchildren. But he'd written his will so that the cash gifts were due when he passed away. And because he passed away first, the cash gifts became payable. And the only way to pay those cash gifts was to sell the house.
Oh, gosh.
Which wasn't their intention, but that was compounded, because when he did the will, I think there was only 3 or 4 grandchildren.
That's right.
And in his will, he just wrote, I leave to each of my grandchildren £20,000.
And there was more.
When he died, there was 8.
Oh, gosh.
So now there's £160,000 of cash gifts from his will, which is, it's legal.
Yeah.
But it's not what he wanted. So if he'd have spoken to someone who could explain, do you want to leave that when you pass away, or do you want to leave that when you've both passed away? We'd have been able to do that.
Well, that's one of the things that you'd point out straight away. Things that, as a layman, you wouldn't understand.
We will not patronise you when we speak to you. We understand that this might be the first, it might be the only time that you make a will. You know, and what we will do is we will give you advice. What you do with that advice is entirely up to you. But we'll put you in a position where you can make a fully informed decision about what your will is going to look like. But what we do guarantee is at the end of the consultation, the will that you get is the will that you asked for and the will that you want, and you will understand it'll be right for you. If throughout this entire process, by the way, once you've spoken to someone like Charlotte, if you're not happy with anything we've said, just say, do you know what, it's not for me, I'll have my money back, and we'll give you your money back.
Great.
Fabulous.
But no one ever gets to the end of a consultation and says, I wish I'd not done that.
No,
Charlotte,
it's not the
you
weight.
always say, that it's that weight lifted off people's
And you
shoulders.
see that, don't you, all the time?
Nearly every consultation at the end, a client will go, oh, that was easier than I thought it would be. Oh, that's a relief, that's a weight lifted.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even realise they actually had until
Well, sometimes you
they got to the
find
end.
things out that like,
Well, like the things we're talking about now, and didn't realise that would happen if they hadn't have written.
there might be
the
someone
will.
watching this show now, generally, who's still sat there, you know, with the phone next to him, who hasn't texted and isn't going to call, and they're not quite sure why. But I always think sometimes the planets align, and it's like, there's a reason you're listening to my croaky voice. Is you won't regret sending us that text or phoning the team now, because you know what? It's a season of miracles. If by a miracle you don't need a will, we'll tell you. But we've never written a will that mirrors the rules of intestacy, because the rules of intestacy don't choose your executors. They don't choose at what age your children inherit. They don't choose the people who inherit, or as importantly, the people who don't inherit. There's lots of people out there, sadly, who have got breakdown in family relationships. They might not want a son or a daughter or a brother or a sister to benefit. So by picking up that phone this morning, or by sending that text, you're doing something amazing, not just for your family, but for you, because you're taking control. If you decide not to take this opportunity, that's of course your prerogative, but then no one can complain, because if you don't make your own will, and if you've watched this show, we've told you tonight that if you don't make your own will, the government's going to make one for you. So whatever you think or you did think was going to happen, I promise you it won't.
No.
That's why we do these shows. Is yes, we've got a business to run, we want new clients, but honestly, I love what we do, because we genuinely get to help people by doing it.
And we know that, we can feel that, and you're proud of the company, and an award-winning company as well. You know, absolutely. You know, you're known now.
People like Charlotte. Let's see if we can swell ahead.
But that is the truth, isn't it? And that is very important.
It's for every single person who works at us. We all, you know, the customer is at the heart of what we do, because we don't survive without our customers. But we know that what we're doing for our customers is amazing. That's not bragging. anyone that makes their own will, well, you know, that's brilliant, but get it done professionally so you know that it works. But yeah, the reason that we won the estate planning of the year is, you know, from the guys in the administration department to the people on reception, to Charlotte and her team, to the will writers, the drafters, the whole company is about how do we get the correct will to this person as efficiently and accurately as possible. You know, and that's what we're all about. But we can only do that if you do the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing isn't speaking to Charlotte, isn't signing your will. The hardest thing is texting us today,
the starting
or picking up the phone.
Yeah.
After you've done that, everything else actually is much easier than you think it's going to be.
We take care of the rest, don't we?
Yeah,
I think
Yeah, I love you hold her hands really. You know, it's fabulous.
Process is
we always make the joke about coffee. I'm a moron. You know, I've said this before. I'll walk into a supermarket and I won't buy a can of coffee. They'll give me like 50 drinks because it's not on offer. I'm not paying £5 for that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'll stop at a well-known coffee chain and pay £6 for
I
one
can't
cup.
believe how much coffee is
And I'm
in
like,
the
I'm a
shops.
moron. but I speak to people all the time. You know, we all pay subscriptions for things like TV, various
Yes,
TV.
yeah.
You know, and we'll pay those forever to watch telly.
Yeah.
We'll pay insurances for things like our boiler, or our pets, or you know, our phones.
Yeah.
You know, we'll pay to protect all these material things, and we always forget about ourselves and our family. Well, it's not expensive to do a will, and it's not expensive to do a lasting power of attorney. And if you take the 4 interest-free payments, it's literally equivalent to pennies a
You
day.
can really
Yeah.
spread the cost.
It's
And
so
the other
affordable.
thing that's really important, I think, is that you don't need anything right now.
No,
Do you,
nothing.
Charlotte?
Don't know any answers, no
You just need
information.
to take that first step
Yeah.
and just have the intention to do it, because like we say, we'll take care of the rest.
Great.
We'll hold your hand through every stage. So it's just picking up that phone or texting. That's all we're asking you to do today.
Now
All
we-
those details are on
Yeah.
your screen, by the way. If you do want to get in touch, you can see there for the will, it's £89. So please, whilst we have this incredible deal, whilst you've got the opportunity to get this sort of booked and sorted, you're just securing that deal today. That price should be £209, and sadly, it will go back up on Friday. It's only until Friday, but don't forget, just do it now. Secure the deal, and the easiest way, of course, is to text to 66777. Just text the word will. Now, you're seeing will, but also we're seeing lasting power of attorney. I think we do need to talk about
we'll
that.
move on to that now.
I think you might not have ever heard about it. I think unless you've been in the awful situation, or someone else has spoken to you and you've been in a situation that lasting power of attorney has come up, you might think, what is a lasting... You've heard of a will, but what is a
we
lasting
initially
power
had
of
it for my
attorney?
parents, didn't we? And then it was the same thing.
Realised
We
how
thought,
important it was.
So important to have it, and we did it with simpler
Yeah,
law
before they were with us here
For your
on
mum.
Shop on TV for my mum, and honestly, it was the best thing we could have done. We're petrified of anything. Me and my mum. My mum is worse than me. You know, everything
Worriers.
frightens. Big worries. Always, I'm going to ask the most. I'm going to ask a silly question. At no point did I think anything I was asking was silly, because they just put me so at ease. I just felt so comfortable. Just chatting with like friends, really, and didn't need any information at all. But lasting power of attorney, I think personally, is just as important as a will, Charlotte. But for anyone that doesn't know what is a lasting power of attorney?
So these are documents that you put in place whilst you've got capacity that allow you to nominate who you trust to make your decisions for you.
Okay.
Should the worst happen and you do lose your capacity.
So whilst you're well and you know what you're saying, you know what you're doing, everything's fine. But if you have a terrible accident or you get an illness where you're not in control anymore...
Yeah. It just means that you can nominate who steps in your shoes.
Just
and
in
becomes you
case.
in that
It's
scenario.
yeah.
It's a
What
worst
if
case
document.
scenario. You love
Yeah.
to use the what if, which I think is a really good term to
Yeah.
use. You know, you hope that you're never going to need to put it in, or never need to use it, should I say?
But it's there in case, yeah.
if the worst should happen. These are such powerful documents because, again, it could be children, it could be friends, it could be parents, because these aren't just age-related.
No.
You know, a lot of people use these, you know, for elderly because dementia is really prevalent at the moment. But it could be anything, like we said, an accident. These documents, once you've got them in place, they'll last you for life. So once you've got them done, you can put them away somewhere safe, and you know that should you ever need them, they're there and your family are protected.
Now,
Because I think we think, again, like we do with a will, you think, you know, everybody knows what I want, so that'll happen when I die, which obviously isn't the case. I think it's the same. I presumed, you know, I look after my mum. Everybody knows I love and look after my mum, and I would presume if anything happened to mum and she couldn't look after things herself, that I could step in and do those things. But
not without
I
that.
can't, can I?
No, it's the same assumption with powers of attorney as it is to wills, really. Everyone has that assumption that everyone knows that this is what they would want. Obviously, I look after it anyway. But no, whilst you've got capacity, if you tried to access your mum's bank account, they're going to go through data
So
protection
true.
on you with the account holder.
Yeah.
You know, any important energy bills.
They won't speak to me. I have to let them speak to mum first, and then
Absolutely.
they'll talk to
mortgage
me.
providers, anything like that, they're going to ask you to go through data protection. If you can't do that, if you're not the account holder, they won't speak to you. You can't deal with anything. So if you've lost capacity, that barrier is only even stronger because that person's vulnerable.
Got to be protected. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you've got a power of attorney, these give you the power to become that person and make all of their decisions for them. So it makes your family's life so much easier in that scenario when you aren't able to do that for yourself.
And again, it's another situation where you know, things are so upsetting. The last thing you'd want to find out is you can't actually
deal
look
with that
after
as well.
your loved one that's poorly. You'd be absolutely mortified. Now, there are two types. We came initially for the financial side of things, really, but there are two types. So should we do the finance first?
Yeah. So the Property and Financial Affairs is the first document. So this one, again, is who you choose, whether it's one person, two people. They can essentially manage your finances for you. So they can access the bank accounts in that scenario. So they can keep paying your bills. They can claim pensions if you're receiving pensions, benefits. So they can keep all of that running because, you know, this is
So all of that would,
you've lost your capacity.
yeah. So all those bills are still coming in, but you
Yeah.
can't physically pay them because you haven't got control.
Exactly.
Gosh.
So by having this document in place, it gives you that power to keep these running, and so the debts aren't accruing, things like that. But even if you've got property, they can manage the property for you. So really, really important document because these things, like I said, they don't stop.
Yeah,
So-
of course.
But the other document is just as important. So this one's health and welfare. So more of a personal, emotional side to this one, I think. So again, whether it's the same people or different people, they can discuss where you're living, whether that's which care home they're in, whether it's at home with you. You know, if you choose your children, they might want to care for you at home themselves. They can make that decision. They can discuss your medication, even down to things like what you're wearing and what you're eating, which might seem really trivial, but they actually could be really, really important
If it's
to you.
out of your hands, though, it's not, is
and
it?
your loved one's going to be the only people that know that.
Yeah.
You could be a vegetarian. You could like to wear red lipstick.
Yeah.
You know, it's what makes you you, and those things again don't stop just because you've lost your
And
capacity.
it's so important any age as well. I think we always think this is for someone that's older, but my friend was in a terrible accident 9 years ago, and had she not had a lasting power of attorney, she was a vegetarian, so she's been very much in a care home since. But they, you know, it'd be awful to sit and watch them feed her sort of meat and fit food. You know that she
And
would
the
like,
clothes
or her
as
clothes.
well.
You know, she's got a real style,
Yeah,
and she still has that style. She's still, you know, my best friend. But that wouldn't have been perhaps if she hadn't had that lasting power of attorney.
Exactly, and this is all about you making the decision that's right for you. Again, same with the will, but same with these powers of attorney. It's nominating those people that you trust, that you know they're going to have your best interests and take care of you. Because with the health document as well, it can even be who's actually visiting you.
Yeah.
If you're in a care home, down to who actually can and can't have access. Because you might be estranged from a
Right.
family member, and if you've lost your
That's a
capacity,
great point,
they
yeah.
might think, oh, we'll come and visit that person,
But you wouldn't want
you
that.
wouldn't initially
Yeah.
choose that. Again, your loved ones will know what your wishes are. So it's again about you giving them that power to make that decision for you.
You give your voice to someone effectively,
Yeah.
which I wish I
Yeah,
could.
I'd like to give you mine. Bless you.
Unbelievable.
No, it's so
The
true.
irony. You
Yeah,
give your voice.
exactly. If it's not in place, Ian, if you don't have lasting power of attorney, the process it's very tricky, isn't it?
It's awful. And again, there is no grey area to this. You've either got a lasting power of attorney. That document does have to be registered with a body called the Office of the Public Guardian.
Yeah.
Now, at the time you register that, which can be immediately or you can choose to keep it safe, the important thing is to get it signed, dated and witnessed correctly so it's valid and ready to go. But if it's ever needed, it needs to be registered with something called the Office of the Public Guardian. Now, they may charge a registration fee at that point. Today, the maximum fee they will charge is £82, so I want you to bear that in mind. The maximum fee they will charge after we've drafted it is £82.
Okay.
If you don't put your own lasting power of attorney in place and you do lose capacity, then your family, and you've got to hope that that's someone you would have chosen for yourself, the only route they've got then to be able to help you and take control of your finances is to go through something called a court of protection. And you have to apply for what's called a deputyship order. Now, the fees there are astronomical, but the time is also really prohibitive. You can see on the screen there that the application fee alone to the court is £408.
So that's just the start.
Yeah, so bearing in mind the Office of Public Guardian will only charge £82 for registering the document, and then your attorneys are free to act because you chose them, you trusted them.
Right.
When someone goes to the court, they're basically assessed to make sure they're the right person and that, you know...
Oh, right, because anyone could step forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got to look into that.
Yeah, and it could be, as I said, unfortunately, it could be someone that you wouldn't want to control your finances. So there's an assessment fee that you have to pay. If they ask for a hearing, there's the hearing fee. And then the supervision fee, which is an annual fee, is the court actually supervising what you do with that person's finances. So there are stories out there where, you know, people have gone to pay the children's university fees, but because it's been over a certain limit, the court have said, no, we need to supervise that decision. You have to ask us for permission.
Each time.
Each time when it's, you know, and sometimes that's been a spouse.
Gosh.
Wow. Didn't you tell us once about school fees?
Yeah.
Each time.
And and every time it came round, if it was over, I think a woman was granted a deputyship order, which took long enough and was really expensive to get, but then she was capped to £500. So every time that she wanted to make a purchase or pay something for more than £500 from her husband's account,
She had to get permission.
she had to seek permission from the court. So it's still quite restricted, but that's because the court protection doesn't care about the deputy. The court protection is there to protect the person that's lost capacity.
Yeah.
And because that person hadn't made a lasting power of attorney, that was the only route. And unfortunately, the costs are horrific anyway. You know, as we saw on the screen, into the thousands. That's if you do it yourself.
That's without professional advice.
Yeah, and
You add professional fees to that, and it runs into £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 sometimes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But worse than that, it's actually taking over a year to get the deputy.
well, surely the person that you're trying to help
Excuse
could
me.
have died by then.
It'd be too late, couldn't it?
That
Worst case.
the hardest thing for us, they're the worst phone calls we get. We're not proud of the fact we call them the too late phone call, but that's because that's what they are. We'll often get Mrs. Smith will phone up and said, "You did wills and lasting powers of attorney for my husband last year. My father's just been diagnosed with dementia," and they kind of know the answer before they ask, "Is there anything we can do?" And it's like, well, we can't do the lasting power of attorney now because he's deemed to have lost capacity. So the only route is the court of protection. And then sadly, they start that process, incredibly expensive, incredibly arduous, and then sadly, sometimes the client will pass away.
Too
So
late.
in the period where the loved one's dealing with the courts and with professionals trying to get it all sorted, they could have just had a lasting power of attorney registered. And I'm not saying that makes it easier.
No.
It doesn't make it worse.
Certainly
And then they're actually caring for the loved one rather than having to deal with the court process. So it's awful. It's awful. And again, it's all avoidable. If you had a magic crystal ball and you could see the future and saw nothing but perfect health, then you just say, great, I don't need one.
But we don't.
And I want to stress, they're not insurance policies. I call them a what-if document. Obviously, my wife and I have got both types. We haven't registered them yet. I don't know why, funnily enough, but we haven't registered them. They're in our storage facility, but we know that they're good to go in inverted commas. But of course, we're both hoping that neither of us ever need to use them. But they're there in case we do. That's the what-if. And again, I come back to, we'll insure a boiler in case it breaks down. We'll insure our pets against vet bills.
My
We'll insure our
mum
phones.
the other day said, Hayley, I think perhaps I should cancel this. And she'd got an insurance for a dishwasher that she uses once a week now because it's a big family dishwasher. And what she was paying, she could have probably bought about 300 dishwashers. I was like, your mum, you could, but yes, we are going to cancel because we do. We think, oh, that's I should do that, and this is what you should do.
This is about you.
It's not an insurance
Powers
policy.
of attorney is something that you want because it's your choice at the end of the day. You know who you trust to step into your shoes. Because for all intents and purposes, if I named you as my attorneys, you become me in the eyes of all the institutions that I deal with. And with the health and welfare, I trust you to make decisions about all those things like what you wear, what you eat, where you live, sound quite trivial when you can make those decisions for yourself, but they become incredibly important when those decisions are made for you and
So
you
important.
haven't given your voice to somebody else. So the what if is, I name you as my attorneys and I know that you're going to step into my shoes if the worst happens. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to live the rest of my life and hope that it's never needed. But if it is, it's there. And again, it comes back to regret. Then I might not know it because I'm incapacitated, but I won't regret that I did the lasting powers of attorney. And I know my family and loved ones won't regret it because I did it. So it's something you want to have, but hope that you never need to use. It's as simple as that. It's a gamble either way. But the safe gamble is to have it and hope you never need it.
Without a
It was
doubt.
such a weight off Mum and mine's shoulders when we'd done it, and now we've forgotten about it. You know, it has. It's been put
there
away.
in
We
case,
have registered ours already, and it's done. And we know it's there, and I hope we never have to use it. But I've got that peace of mind that if we do need to, that it's there. And we only knew about this because of your mum being poorly, really, originally. And all of a sudden it comes to light how important it is for someone to step into your shoes. And whatever you're thinking about, whether you're thinking about that will that you haven't written, is it important? Yes, it is. Because sadly, if you haven't written a will, and obviously it has to be a legal will, so you want to do it with simpler law because you know it's accurate. You haven't made any mistakes. They check everything like you would not believe. And it's easy because they talk the information out of you. But if you haven't written a will, sadly, you have got a will, and it's the government will. And that will not be, it's not right for anybody, is it? It's not right for anybody.
Those rules of intestacy are a series of yes-no questions that literally go through a very straightforward process.
They were written 100 years ago.
It wouldn't be what you would choose.
100 years ago. We don't live anything like we did 100 years ago. I'm not sure if they would have been completely right then, but they're not right for anybody right now. If you're sat at home thinking, well, no, I told my family no, they know what I want to happen. It's not going to happen because that falls in place if you haven't got a real will written. And can you imagine, and obviously I don't know what happens when you when someone passes, but I, in my mind, know my dad's watching. I know he puts that white feather there. I know he is watching. And I know he would be kicking himself if he hadn't written a will. And the whole family's falling out because, you know, we all knew what he wanted, but it's not happening because the government will's come into place. Absolutely kicking himself. This is your last gift to your family. And I know it's just before Christmas, but it's like your Christmas present.
I think it's
to
perfect
the family.
timing, I really do, because it's your gift to the family, but it's a gift to you as well, because it's your peace of mind. So let's run you through all of the offers, whether it's the wills or the lasting powers of attorney that we've got for you. Simpler Law are experts in the field. That's the other thing to reiterate. This is all they do. It's about estate planning. So first of all, we talk about writing a will. At £209, I think it'd be quite a reasonable
I thought it'd be so
price.
expensive, and £209, I'd happily spend that, but you don't need to. If you secure your deal tonight, you've got up until Friday, but do it tonight. We'll tell you exactly why. For a start, you might forget, before, you know, it'd be Saturday or Sunday and think, oh, I didn't do it. You're going to get the deal at £89, but you can split that cost to £22.25, 4 payments. You're saving £120. So don't kick yourself on Saturday and Sunday and it's £120 more. Do it now whilst you've got the opportunity. And this could be, if you're not thinking about Christmas, obviously you don't have to, you're just securing the deal right now. You can sort out a day into the new year. This could be a bit of a New Year's resolution, or perhaps, you know, I'm going to get things done next year. This could be your first step to actually getting that will done. Or the lasting power of attorney. If you've been listening thinking, oh my goodness, that's so important.
It really is, as much as the will is when you hear what it actually entails. So if you wanted to go for the lasting power of attorney, £349 is the suggested retail price. It's down to £179 on our offer price.
Nearly half price, that, isn't it?
Brilliant. And then you've got the 4 interest-free payments of £44.75 on your first of 4 payments. Remember, 2 different types there. If you are in Scotland, it is a combined document, but the team are experts in that as well. You can talk to the team in the call centre if you wish. If you want to go for the best value of all, it's the will and the lasting power of attorney. A £558 suggested retail price comes down to £249 on that exclusive ShopOnTV offer price. And offering you those 4 interest-free payments means £62.25 on your first of 4 payments there. A £309 saving.
I mean, you're saving so much more than you're spending there. Secure those deals. If you decide later and you just secured the will, and the more we speak, you think, I wish I'd done the lasting power of attorney too. I am sure that when you speak to the team, that they will allow you to have that same offer. So please just secure a deal right now. Remember, the reason we're saying, I know you can secure this deal until Friday at 5 o'clock, but you might forget if you don't do it right now. But you also might miss out on this book because there's 250 of these. For the first 250 people that secure their deals, you'll get this book. And Anne's emailed in. Good morning, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
And wants to know a bit more about this book.
Actually, we should bring Ian in here because when you brought this into the company, there's a great story behind this as well, isn't there?
It was, excuse me. It was born out of our estate administration department. Sorry.
So people think you sound like Gary Barlow.
Yes, we're getting emails.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know if that's
it's
good
not
or
a bad
bad.
thing.
Gary Barlow.
Yeah.
Never going to live that down in
We'll
the
get you to sing at the end. We'll
Yeah,
see.
that'll be great.
We want people to keep tuning in, don't we? This was actually born out of our estate administration department. So at the point of need, we're administering somebody's will because we act as professional executors as well. The job of an executor is to gather the estate together, so everything that the deceased owned.
So it's trying to find all that information.
It's find all that information. And obviously we've got certain professional tools and certain professional third parties that we can use to find that. Obviously lay executors won't necessarily have those tools at hand, so they have to rely on going through, let's be honest, it's usually children going through the parents' documents.
Trying to find everything.
Trying to find stuff.
The secret place and where that box
and
is.
the fascinating and scary statistics that came out of when we were building this was that it's believed in the UK that there's £5 billion of pension funds that have gone unclaimed.
Unclaimed?
Because they've not been found.
Wow.
And if you think about it, it's like, do you really know all the jobs that your dad had or all the jobs that your mom had?
Yeah.
Were they paying into any pensions with these companies?
No.
That might have been frozen 20, 30 years ago, but they still might be entitled to. £2 billion of unclaimed life insurance policies. So people have paid up life insurance policies, but the document's not being found.
Oh,
so that money's not being claimed. And 850 million sat in UK bank accounts that also hasn't been claimed because it's not being found. So, again, another selfless part, and the reason this book exists is just sitting down and taking stock of what you've got. It helps your family, you know, find what you've got, but also it helps you leave stuff that perhaps we don't think about, like passcodes for our tablets and for our phones. A lot of our lives now are stored digitally, and if we haven't got Face ID or a PIN access, that information can be very easily lost. So again, it's another selfless act, but you'll find it quite cathartic as well. I think the thing that we hear a lot, which amuses us, is, oh, well, we're making a will, but we haven't really got very much.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you're like, well, your house is worth 150,000 and your car's worth 10,000 and you've got 5,000 in ISA. But it's not all about value because that's all relative. You know, someone that's got a house that's worth 100,000, that's no less important than someone that's got a house worth 2 million. It's your house, you worked for it. It's very rare that we meet people where they've just been given something. Yeah. They've worked for it, or you know, they've inherited it themselves from their family, so they want to make sure it carries on going down. So making a will is just about taking control and making sure that everything you've worked hard for and everything you want to happen does happen. Sadly, without a will, you're not guaranteeing that, you're not taking control, and you are leaving it to a government will that frankly doesn't care about any of us. No. And that isn't a criticism, it just it physically can't.
It's not right for anybody, but then when you think about it, how can you have one will that's going to be right for everybody? It's impossible, isn't it? We're all in different situations. We live together, been together 34 years, but we're not married. Our money wouldn't have gone to each other unless we'd written a will. A lot of marriages, second marriages or third marriages, you have children from other partners, children together. Again, that's very complicated if you haven't got a will, and sometimes that means that some children miss out completely and can cause really family upset, that you'd just be devastated, and all you needed to do was write a will. And the prices we see for a will, just £89
but
tonight.
You need to know how to get in touch, and that's so simple
easy
and straightforward.
And you're just securing the deal tonight.
Yeah, you don't need anything with you.
No
you don't
information.
need any documents.
All you need to know really is your name. That's it.
It's the hardest thing tonight.
That's the hardest question.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Your name is all that's needed. You're securing the prices, and you can do it in so many simple ways as well. So either go onto the internet there, you can see simplerlaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV. So very easy, don't need to speak to anybody. If you fancy talking to, and they're an amazing team, the team are in the actual office right now waiting for your call.
Yeah, 0333 600 2600, UK-based call centre, obviously. So if you want to get in touch with the team, as Hayley said, they're there waiting to take your call. You don't need any documents. You don't need to know anything. You just give the team a ring and say, I want to get a will.
You're securing that deal. If you're the first of the first 250 people, you're getting the book we just spoke about as well. The easiest way, and Sean and myself, I know we talk so much on air, but we're rubbish at talking to anybody when we're off air, and we don't want to answer the phone, we don't want to answer the door. Like, I don't want to talk to them. Text Will. That's the simplest thing. Text Will to 66777. It's always the busiest. I think we're all the same. You might be going to bed in a minute. You don't want to talk to anybody right now. But what you've done is you've taken that big step, because sometimes it's that first step which is the hardest thing. You've done it. You've text Will, and now you're going to sort your will out. And don't worry, they won't get back in touch until later on today. They know you've been up late, but you don't need to talk to them officially until when the time's right for you. So into the new year, if that's right, better for you.
Now, if you want to go to our website, shopontv.co.uk, scroll down as we did there and click on the Simpler Law logo. That's all you've got to fill in. And then once again, the team will get back to you later today.
And that's good as well, because you've got the phone number there and you've got the text
all
details.
The ways to get in touch.
Or even just take a photo of those details. But do it tonight, because we do tend to put things off. We do tend to forget, don't we?
But there's a real bonus tonight as well. First time we've ever done this. You could win a £250 Love to Shop voucher if you make an appointment tonight, or you secure those deals, I should say. The great thing is, every time you purchase a product or make that first step, you'll go into the free prize draw to win £250 Love to Shop voucher.
So if I do a will and a lasting power of attorney,
2 entries.
If you're a couple and you do 2 wills and 2 lasting powers,
you'll get 4 entries.
We
So
like that.
the more you do, the more entries you'll get.
High-level maths.
See how we work that out together?
I'm impressed with that.
That's how we needed each other to work it out.
And I use my hands as well.
You did.
Yeah. So well worth doing that. But remember, do it now. This could be your Christmas present to your family. It could be that start of that New Year's resolution. Next year, I'm going to get things done. I've got to write a will. I'm going to do it next year. Well, if you've taken that step today, you're definitely going to do it next year. And do it with Simpler Law. Look at the 5-star reviews, honestly.
Experts in the field. Let's take a look at what Nita had to say. And like we say, these are so important. I wanted to rewrite my will and saw the advert. When Ollie phoned me today, he was very helpful and provided me with excellent customer service, helping me and explaining when things I wasn't sure about something. That's really important as well. It is that hand-holding service. The team is so friendly.
I never felt that I was asking the wrong question. I always feel I'm a bit daft and I'll ask the wrong thing. They put you so at ease. I felt I could ask absolutely anything.
This is what Sandra had to say. I never recommend any services. But I definitely recommend Simpler Law. Very knowledgeable staff, explained every step in detail and provided further advice and information. That's Sandra there.
We've had Alison email in. She's just emailed in. Good morning, Alison. She emailed in from the last show, which was meant to be the last show, and she's really pleased. She spoke to Leon and she said he was fabulous. And that's the thing. They become friends. It's all sorted and done. She's got that peace of mind. And it was meant to be their last show that last time, but sadly a lot of people did miss out, forgot that final date, and that you could only secure the deals till Friday, which is the same right now. But this is your last opportunity before Christmas. Kindly, Simpler Law have come back in. They've allowed us to have the same prices, but you do need to secure the deals tonight to make sure. And then everything else can be sorted after Christmas, when it's right for you. That's the great thing.
Now we're going to go right back to basics. If you've just joined us and you're thinking, oh, what's this all about? It's about writing your will, but having that that process in place for you at such an affordable price with experts in the field and making it so easy. Charlotte, you work in the team with all the people who are mentioned. You often get mentions. Everybody needs a will, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs a will. I know that sounds silly, but it's about you making the choice for you and not leaving it down to, as we've mentioned, the government will, or rules of intestacy, as we call them as well. It's just making that choice and having what you want in there. It's not age-related. You can do so much more with a will than just distribute your estate. You can stipulate what age your children are to inherit. You can stipulate guardianship if you've got children under the age of 18.
There's so much more than people think that can go into a will.
Can even be pets, can't it?
Pets, heirlooms, family heirloom gifts. So, you know, we've said people might think, well, clients might sit there and think, I haven't actually got a lot in my estate, but it's what you've worked hard for, and it's about making sure it's documents produced for you that's going to achieve what you want it to.
I mean, I think choosing what age your children and grandchildren inherit is a really important one, isn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Because they could waste that money, couldn't they, if they were giving it all at 18? I hadn't even thought about that before.
We also have clients that come and want them to use the money for a specific thing, buying a house or for education.
Oh, right, so you could even say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fabulous.
But ages, it tends to be a split between 18, 21, but some clients even go 23, 25. There's no restriction there. It's all about your choice. You know your family.
And if you wanted to stagger it, you could do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is your document. We're there to give you the advice. Whether you take it is entirely up to you, but we won't produce that document until you're happy with it. So everyone should have a will. Make it your choice today. Do something that's good and make sure that once you've got it in place, everything you want to happen is going to happen.
I think the frightening thing is a lot of people think, well, it's all right because I've told my family what I want to happen. We've actually had the conversation, which we're not very good, but we've had it. I've told all the children exactly what I want to happen, you know, when I die. But sadly, it's not going to happen, Ian, is it? Even if you've told every member of the family and all your friends and neighbours what you want to happen.
No, sadly. Oh, what was that?
Bless you.
I've got to tell you, that song's going through my Carrie Barlow. So sorry. No, sadly, your family, even if they knew 100% what your wishes were, they have no legal authority to carry those wishes out.
Right.
Because the legal authority is derived from your will. And if you haven't made a will, the government very kindly give you one. So then your family have to follow the government will. You can't just choose, oh, well, Mum and Dad didn't want that. The law says you have to follow.
If it's not written down.
And sometimes that can be devastating because it more often than you think, actually, there are families where there has been a breakdown in a relationship. So sometimes they'll say, well, we've got 3 children, but sadly we've not seen our youngest son or youngest daughter for 25 years. And for whatever reason that was, they might be sad for the rest of their life, but they've not been a part of their life, so they've decided they don't want them to benefit. So they've said, we want it to go to just 2 of our children. And sometimes they'll say to those children, you know, we don't want anything to go to your sister, and think that's enough.
That's tricky.
And if they haven't made a will and they pass away, the rules of intestacy very clearly say that it's to go to children in equal shares. And you can't go against the law, that person is entitled to it. Whereas if you made a will and put in a specific exclusion, you can make it, you can document legally what you want to happen.
So it's not only what you want to give to people, it's what you don't want to give to some people.
And sometimes you might want, you know, a distribution to be on uneven shares. It's not always.
Okay.
You might have given a child some money whilst you were alive, so you want to even it up a little bit.
Right.
You know, we gave our youngest some money to buy a car or a house. So actually we want to give our eldest 55% and our youngest 45%, for argument's sake. But the fact of the matter is, when we speak to our clients, we've got all of these questions and we'll get you to think about a few things, but you've got all the answers. So sometimes people put off making a will because they're like, oh, I'm not really sure what I would want to happen. But until you start having that conversation, and certainly with someone who can help you through that and hold your hand through that process, you'll never get the will that you want. And if you leave it, unfortunately, one day it will be too late, and then it won't be your decision what happens. It'll be a set of rules that's 100 years old that doesn't care about you that makes that decision. And that's
100
why-
years. Oh, so it's our world is so different to 100 years ago, isn't it?
Oh,
So
it's unrecognisable, isn't it?
Yeah, completely.
we have lots of
Family life is so different.
very
isn't it?
different.
Marriages are so different.
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, you've been married before, you're on your second marriage, you've got children from different marriages, you've got children together, and they could live as one big happy family, and they don't see themselves as, you know, stepsisters or brothers. They're a family, they're sisters and brothers. But if you haven't written a will, that could be really complicated, couldn't it, when somebody dies?
Yeah, the rules of intestacy doesn't care about feelings or what everyone else. There's no common
Very
sense.
matter of fact, isn't
There's
it?
no common sense. It's just a series of yes/no questions, and it's all related to your marital status and your direct bloodline.
Right.
So stepchildren, there's no provision for them. Unmarried couples, there's no provision for them. But in the example you gave, Hayley, where you might have a couple on their second marriage, they might have been married that second time longer than they were ever married for the first time. And, you know, they might have got together when the children were really young, so they don't even see themselves as step-brother and sister, they're brother and sister. And the families, you just said, quite rightly, just see themselves as a family, don't think of themselves as having different bloodlines. You know, they grew up together, lived in the same house together. It's mum and dad, it's not step-mum and dad or step-dad and mum. That's perfectly understandable, but the law says that you're from a different bloodline. So if you don't make your own will that says, I want my children and my stepchildren to be treated equally, and you don't set out what you want to happen, if in that example you've got Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Mr. passed away first, if under the rules of intestacy everything goes to his wife and the first 322,000 of his estate's guaranteed to went to his wife, she might be thinking, well, at least the children are still going to benefit. But if Mr. had a child from a previous relationship, when Mrs. Smith dies, it goes to her children only. It goes to her bloodline. So Mr. Smith's bloodline is not entitled to a penny. So those children lose out. And there's lots of people out there, and sadly, this happens more often than you think it does, because people generally don't believe that it can happen.
No.
And people are, you know...
It seems so wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're all, you know, they're losing their mind going, well, this isn't fair, and everyone knows. And then even worse than that, then sometimes pressure's put on the children that did inherit, going, well, you should give half to them. But you don't know what position that child was in, or whether they've got a spouse themselves who's saying, why should you give it? And all of a sudden, this wonderful, loving
involved,
family, it gets contentious. And I'm not casting aspersions, but it's not an exaggeration when I say that, sadly, we hear it daily.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we deal with clients that have made wills with us, and we deal with clients that haven't made wills, and sometimes we have to give them that news that, do you realise that actually these...
And that could cause such a family breakup, couldn't it? Because
it's awful, yeah.
In a situation where everyone's emotions are so high and you're devastated already, and then there's this to deal with.
If you're sat listening to my croaky voice right now and your phone's next to you, honestly, the best thing you can do ahead of Christmas for your family is send us that text tonight, or even speak to one of Charlotte's colleagues at the office right now, because you won't regret doing that, because what you're going to do is you're going to ensure that what you want to happen is going to happen. You remove ifs, buts, maybes, but more importantly, you get rid of the government will. When you make your own will, you get rid of the government will.
You could stop that upset, couldn't you? I mean, we're upset enough when you lose someone. Stop the extra pain.
Yeah. And I think that's the frustration. It sounds really selfish when I say that we get frustrated, because it's not our estate, it's not our family. But when you see it, you're like, oh, if we could have fixed that, and I'm not exaggerating. We could have fixed that in 15 minutes. We could have done a phone call with you in 15 minutes. We could have got a document to you, made sure it was all signed, dated, and witnessed correctly, and all of this awful heartbreak would have been avoided. And that's why I talk about regret. No one regrets putting a will in place. No. But sadly, quite often, families regret that you didn't put a will in place.
Yeah, of course, the whole family.
And it is so simple, isn't it, with simpler law, and it's so affordable as well. That price on your screen, £89, and you can split that price as well overpayments. Which
22.25 on your first of 4 interest-free
how great is that? How much do you spend on coffee a month? Probably a lot more than 22.25, and that's your will sorted. It's so important. Please don't think what you think is going to happen and what you want to happen will happen, because it truly, sadly, won't.
And Charlotte, why, if our viewers are at home are watching, why should they choose simpler law?
They might get to speak to Charlotte.
There you go. First bonus.
That's the only answer.
The end.
No, this is what we do, and we pride ourselves on, we're professionals. We pride ourselves on giving that hand-holding service.
Yeah.
You've seen through the Trustpilot reviews, these are named Trustpilot reviews, which we're really proud of, because they're not, although we are Simple Law, not putting that down, they're not saying Simple Law were great. They're saying Jack was great.
Yeah.
They're saying Gemma was great.
Well, like
Leon
that
was
email.
great.
Yes, someone emailed him.
From Anne saying about Leon, good work, Leon.
Yeah, absolutely. We take you through the whole process in the comfort of your own home at a date and time that is best for you and at your own pace. There's no right or wrong.
Actually, that's a really good point, because if anyone at home's listening and thinking, oh, I'd like, what is the process? So getting in touch tonight, then what happens?
Yeah, take that first step. And you don't need any answers tonight. It's just actually having the intention to do
Secure the
something
deal,
today.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
the
secure
offer.
the deal. You might get a chance to win the vouchers.
Yes.
And then we will contact you either, I was going to say tomorrow, but later on today, tomorrow,
Yeah.
to book in that consultation. Like I say, date and time of your choice. It can be before Christmas, it can be after Christmas.
Great. So there's,
Whenever is
it's up
best for
to
you. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
It's all about you making that choice. We'll book that consultation in, sit with a cup of tea, comfort of your own home. And again, we'll go at your pace. You might come with all the answers. You might have none. That's fine. That's what we're there to do. Once we've gone through that process, you might accept our advice, you might not. You do still have the right to cancel anything at that point if you want to. We'll then produce a document, get it posted out to you. We'll give you instructions on how to sign the document. You can still speak to us throughout this whole process. We even offer a free validation service. So we actually make sure that once you sign the document, it is
That
signed
everything's
legally,
right.
it's
Great.
correct, and it's in place. So all the way through the process, we don't just, here's your will, that's it, great. We'll make sure that it's there, it's signed. You don't have to worry about anything.
Some people put it off because they think it's going to be really complicated or morbid.
Things like this really frighten and worry me, and it's not that at all.
No, you speak to someone like Charlotte or members of her team, and it's nice when you hear names like Leon.
Yeah.
Poor Shane and Sheridan will be.
I know.
Oh, no.
We'll
thinking, where's my name?
But in all seriousness, we do hold your hand. We're not patronising again, but we understand this might be the first time you've made a will. But we'll make sure that when you're going through the process that you're happy with everything, that you understand everything. And Charlotte's quite right. If after speaking to one of our consultants, you're like, do you know what, this isn't for me, I'm not happy with it, we'll just give you your money back. So there's no risk to you tonight. The biggest risk is not sending the text and not phoning us.
Yeah.
And thinking, well, I might do it tomorrow, because I agree with you, Hayley, that life gets in the way.
Absolutely.
You go to bed, you wake up and you start your next day, and everything you were going to get around to, you don't quite get around to, and then before you know it, you've lost a cheap holiday.
Oh, you had to do it.
Too soon.
You had to bring it up.
£600, gone up £600.
But
We're not going away now.
that's
you
bad, but in the context of what the difference can be for your family, in all
Absolutely.
seriousness,
Yeah.
this simple thing, and we're not dumbing it down, but it's simple to us, and the reason I say it's simple to us because it's all we do. Some people do generally put off making a will because they think it's going to be really complicated or their situation's really complicated.
Yeah, so true.
We've never turned a client away because the situation's too complicated.
No.
In fact, it's a nice challenge if it really is. What we tend to find, and you'll bear this out, is sometimes a client will phone and say, oh, you're going to love me, I'm dead straightforward. And you go, uh-oh.
Alarm bells.
You're like, wow. And other times you'll get clients who'll go, right, yeah, I think you might not like me very much because it's really, really complicated. And actually, what they want to achieve, we can achieve quite straightforwardly and be quite relieved by it.
Because you know what you're doing. It comes back to me, that experts in the field.
But you can only find that out if you send us that text this morning, or if you speak to one of our colleagues right now.
Yeah.
You're probably listening to my croaky voice now. Your phone's probably next to you. If you don't want to speak to a member of the team tonight, I get that. But just pick up the phone now, just type the word will and text it to 66777. And it'll be one of the best things you've ever done.
Will.
People think a will isn't sexy. A will's not exciting. But until you've been through that consultation, you can't understand why at the end of it, everyone goes, I'm so glad I've done that. It's that ticking that box that you didn't really, you kind of knew you needed to do, but until you go through the process, you're like, I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about regret. No one ever regrets making a will, because there's nothing to regret about planning for your family.
Of course not.
If you don't make a will, you're basically saying, especially if you're watching this show, because I get it if you've not seen this show that you might not know about the rules of intestacy, but the reason we do this show is to tell you that if you don't make your own will, whether that's through us or someone else, truthfully, but if you don't make your own will and take opportunity of these offers, you will pass away with a government will. And I promise you that will do none of what you think it will. No. It doesn't care about whatever you've told your family or what you think. It will just follow a series of questions. And if you've got a family situation that's anything other than married with 2 children or married with your own children, it's pretty much going to go, I can guarantee it will go wrong.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's a yes-no process.
The government will, it was made 100 years ago, and it doesn't relate to anybody.
To personal wishes at all.
It can cause so much heartbreak. All of a sudden, you know what you wanted to happen. You know, Sean and myself, we've been married well, we haven't been married at all. We've never been married.
Have we?
God, I just married you then. My
all coming
word.
out now.
Oh, gosh. We've been together 34 years, but because we're not married, I presumed, you know, we've virtually lived together for 34 years, worked together for 34 years. So obviously, all of our family knows that what's mine is Sean's, what Sean is mine. And if awfully one of us passed, then it would go to each other. It wouldn't. Because if you looked at that chart, that is not what would happen. I'm not on there, you're not on there. It doesn't work like that.
No provision at all from
and I
partners.
can't
that
think,
comes as a shock to a lot of people, unfortunately.
I don't know anybody that government will works for.
It doesn't.
No, we don't.
It doesn't. It can't. When you make your own will, it's your will. Every single document we write is unique because it's bespoke.
So one-off, yeah.
You know, we're not there to write wills for ourselves. We're there to write your will, but make sure that it's right. And there's 2 things happening then. You've taken control and you've got exactly what you want. So your last act on planet Earth, your last gift to your family is what you want to happen. If you don't do that, you've not taken control. And the government will doesn't care about your family, doesn't care about anything that you wished about. And it just fails families every single time. You don't even get to choose who sorts it out.
No.
Yeah.
So you don't even know who that's going to be. But worse than that, any little specific thing like, I'd quite like my watch to go to my son, or I'd quite like my car to go here, or I'd like to leave this to charity. All those personal things it doesn't care about. It doesn't matter if you've said it to someone, because legally it can't happen.
No.
You either pass away with your own will or you pass away with the government will. There is no in between.
No.
There's no grey area. It's one or the other.
And please don't not write a will because you think it's going to be really expensive or it's going to be really complicated. Because it truly, with Simpler Law, is so easy. We dealt with Simpler Law before they actually worked with us here on ShopOnTV, and it was for my mum's lasting power of attorney, which we will talk about as well. And I'm honestly petrified of everything.
Well, it
I'm
is
like the world's worst,
It
aren't
is
I?
law, isn't it? So it is quite scary because
I'm
it's
gonna
not
be
our
daft.
everyday.
No.
You worry about
I'm
saying
going
the
to
wrong
ask the silly
thing.
question. I'm going to ask the wrong thing. I'm going to say the wrong thing. I won't know the answer to that question. And my mum is 300 times worse than me. So the 2 of us together are the biggest worriers that there are.
Yeah.
So when we actually did the phone call, we were petrified. And honestly, it was the easiest thing we'd done. It was actually quite pleasant to sit down and chat to the lady that we chatted to make a friend, to have a little bit of a laugh. It was just a conversation like we're having today.
Much more relaxed than you think.
We didn't know. We didn't need to have any information. We didn't. You know, there was no question I felt I couldn't ask. We just sat down and chatted. And Simpler Law know the information they need to get through. So through conversation, you find those answers. So perhaps you're not quite sure what to do with, you know, with your will, who to leave things to. But as you chat, it will all just fall into place. It was so simple. It is like a hand-holding situation, and they do. You know, the team they become friends. And when you look at the 5-star reviews, it doesn't say Simpler Law was fantastic, though they were. It will actually mention the person that they dealt with was fabulous, because they do become a friend, because they do talk and help you through everything.
This is what David had to say. I spoke with Bjorn today about getting a will document drawn up. A very polite and friendly person. He was also very professional and efficient. He guided me through the process in a concise and clear manner. Very happy with the great customer service I received today. Thank you. Again, it's about that personal connection that you get with the team at Simpler Law. Dave said this: completed my will today with Gemma. Gemma was very helpful and explained in detail through the steps, making it easier and less stressful to complete. The will was more complicated due to the requests I had, but Gemma had no issues in completing this. And that's the other thing, the team are trained professionals when it comes to working with you. Consultants that have training with the team, don't they?
We don't deal with any other area of the law.
No.
You know, so you wouldn't come to us for a divorce or a boundary dispute or a personal injury claim. But if you want to make sure that everything you've worked hard for goes to where you want it to go, then you speak to someone like Charlotte or one of our colleagues, who haven't we mentioned so far?
Yeah, no.
Hannah or Meg, or, you know, there's a consultant for you.
Yeah.
But every single consultant will not be patronising to you.
No.
They will make sure that you're absolutely happy with everything that's discussed.
I never once felt I asked a silly question, and I also felt comfortable thinking after the call, didn't ask that, I've forgotten that, and just emailing. And I never once felt like I was a pest, and you never made me feel like anything was rushed. Honestly, just so simple. It's like they can actually suss out who you are, and you're like, I know how to do. You know, they knew how to deal with Mum, how to make Mum and me feel comfortable, and honestly, it was such a weight off our shoulders. We've got incredible prices, but you do need to secure these deals. This morning, really, you have got till Friday, but I'll be absolutely honest, you'll probably forget. So these prices, take a look and do it right now, because you really are. You've got the opportunity for your last gift to your family, to write the will that makes sure what you want to happen happens. So normally I thought it'd be really expensive, like, you know, thousands. £209 normally. Brilliant. I would happily have paid that, but actually our price tonight, or this morning, £89. And when you split that over those 4 payments, £22.25, how much do you spend on coffees? I last night, or this morning, because we work funny shifts, woke up and bought another outfit, which was a lot more than £22.25 that I don't need. We spend money terribly, and that £22.25 is actually going to make sure what you want to happen happens, and you give what you want to give to your loved ones. You know, it's in law, it's written down, it's dealt with. Because if you haven't written a will, sadly, that government will then take over, and that is not what you want to happen at all.
That's just the first offer that Simpler Law are offering. You've then got the lasting power of attorney. If you want to go for that, it should be a suggested retail price of $349. Remember, we are going to go more into detail on that if you don't understand what that is or you've not heard about it. It's down to £179.
Wow.
Or $44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments.
Nearly half price,
Yeah.
and it's so important, lasting power of attorney. Stay with us, like Sean says, we'll talk about that. And you might decide you want to do both, and that should be £558. You're saving more than you're spending. You're saving $309, but remember, you must secure these prices. They will change on Friday. So $249 and 4 payments, just $62.25 is the first of those 4 payments. And if you do just secure the will, and then when you speak to the team later, you think, oh, I wish I'd done the lasting power of attorney as well. I know they will allow you to actually sort of add that on, but what you need to do is secure the prices right now.
The other reason to do that is the first 250 clients will also receive that free What My Family Should Know book. In that book, it has, well, you record everything in there in that one place, rather than your family searching all around the house for all your documents, all those secret hidey places.
I usually say everyone should have one of these from birth, but actually that's a little bit early. From teenage years, I think, you know, as soon as you start to work, you should have this book, because there's nothing worse than trying to find information when someone passes, trying to find that cardboard box where they kept the letters, or try and find the secret cubbyhole, and you could miss So much.
Well, it's not just about that now. It's also about passwords. So you have all
Yeah,
your
'cause it's
computer,
technical now,
your
isn't it?
phone passwords, subscriptions, things such as that. All your digital accounts, as you can see there. First 250 people who secure the offer will receive that book. It's worth £25. But there's more bonuses tonight that we'll talk about in just a moment. To get in touch, really simple, really straightforward. If you want to go to Simpler Law's website, simplerlaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV to get those exclusive offers that we've got for you. The call centre, the team are there right through till 3 a.m. Some of the team that we've been talking about throughout the show. 0333 600 2600 is the call centre number.
And we've had so many comments about the team. You will love speaking to them. Obviously, they won't have a great deal of time tonight, so if you do decide to chat to them, you can ask a couple of questions, but they'll call you back at a time that's convenient for you. The text is the best thing, isn't it?
If you've got your phone right by you, you're just taking that first step. You're starting the ball rolling. If you just haven't got round to writing a will or a lasting power of attorney, it is that first step. So text the word will, WILL, to 66777. Once you've done that, you've started the process, and that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Starting the process.
Yeah, sometimes it's that step that's the hardest step, and you've done it by texting will. That's it. It's sorted. It's going to happen. Could be your New Year's resolution. I'm getting things sorted next year. This could be the first step. If you normally deal with us direct on Shop on TV, of course, you can go to our website. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll find Simpler Law right there. Click onto that, and then scroll down that page. You'll find you just add in the simplest details. Even I can fill in this form. It's all there, sorted. You've submitted it. It's done. Again, you've secured the actual deals. But did you see there was a little bit of a prize draw? We've never had this before.
First time we've done this.
Lovely.
A huge bonus for you. Simply by securing the appointments tonight, you could be in with the chance to win a £250 Love to Shop voucher. All you've got to do is secure the offer. If you go for a will and a lasting power of attorney, you'll go into that prize draw twice. If you and your partner do the same, a will and lasting power of attorney, you'll go into the prize draw 4 times. So you could win a £250 Love to Shop voucher.
So many reasons to secure those deals right now. You have got till Friday, but the reason we're doing another show right now is so many people missed out. And sadly, this is the last chance we can do a show. This could be your last, it could be your Christmas present to your family. It's your last gift to your loved ones if you're writing a will. Or like I say, it's that New Year's resolution, you're getting things sorted in that new year. But what we've talked about is wills. Lasting power, and I think we all know what a will is. Lasting power of attorney, we wouldn't have known, sadly, unless your mum had been born.
Yeah, well, not at all. I think it's something that you might have heard the term, but you don't actually know what it is. Just want to reiterate, if you are going to take advantage of these offers, you need to do it before Friday. Close of business at 5.
Do it now, because you'll forget, won't you? It'll be Saturday, it'll be Sunday, you'll think, oh no, I did it the other day, did I mention?
Yes, you did.
Missed out on a holiday.
Yeah.
Weekend break, amazing deal. Thought, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And then I was like, yes, we will. Went back on the website, gone up £600.
That's why
absolutely.
It's really important with an offer like this to do it right now.
You just put things off and then you miss it, and you'll be kicking yourself.
And you've started it.
You could have done it.
You've started the process.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about lasting powers of attorney, as Hayley said. Charlotte, if you could explain from the top, what is a lasting power of attorney?
Yeah, so these are documents where you nominate who you trust to make your decisions for you if you no longer can do it for yourself. So it could be a freak accident, it could be ill health, dementia's quite a big one at the moment. Anything like that, you can choose one person, couple of people, friends, family.
Okay.
Again, this is about you making the decision that's right for you, and they essentially step into your shoes and become you and make decisions on your behalf with regards to your finances and your health, because there's 2 documents.
So there's 2 different kinds, and we'll run through. Should we run through the financial one first of all?
Yeah. Financial, I think people can relate to, because when you make the world go round, things don't stop because you've lost your capacity. So property and financial affairs, this document means that those that you've nominated can access your bank accounts, so they can pay any bills that you've got, claim pensions, claim benefits. You can see the list on there, buy, sell and lease property if you've got property. So if you might be renting a property out, you might own your property that, I don't know, could need selling.
Right.
They can do all of those things for you if you can't make those decisions for yourself.
Because there's no way you can step into that as a daughter or as a husband or as a wife or...
No, it's those same assumptions that you
Yeah,
say,
you'd think,
we live
well...
together, or
Yes,
you know that I would do that for that person. But no, if you call up your bank and ask to speak to, well, on someone else's behalf and ask to speak to them, first question they ask is who's the account holder? Or they'll go through data protection with you. If you're not the account holder, they won't speak to you.
That,
So
and it ends
true.
there, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And if you've lost your capacity, you're even more vulnerable.
Of course.
Yes.
So you're, at that point, there's nothing you can do. If you've got a power of attorney, it's called the donor because you are donating your power to that person that you've nominated. They can do all of that for you. They essentially become you in that scenario. So they can ring up the bank, manage those finances for you. Those things won't just stop because you've lost your capacity. So these are really, really important documents.
Really important. So that's the first one we talk about, but then there is a second one, isn't there?
Yeah, so the second one's a bit more of emotional, personal side to it, which is still just as important. So health and welfare. So again, the people that you nominate, they can be the same as your financial or they can be different. Again, it's about you making that choice. And this one means they can discuss your medication that you're receiving. They can decide where you're living. So if you're going into a care home, they can decide which care home that is.
Yes.
They might want you to live at home with them and they might want to care for you themselves. They can make that choice. It could be a child that says, actually, I want my mum to live at home with me. And if they have the power of attorney, they can make that choice for you.
Great.
Even down to what you're wearing and what you're eating, which sounds really
those
trivial.
really
No, but it's so important.
Yeah, it's important to you.
If
And
someone's a
this is what it's
vegetarian,
about.
you know, that it is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Vegetarian, if you're going into a care home, for example, they're not going to know that.
Yeah.
They could feed you meat, and that's really important to you. And that can be really hard for your loved ones to watch as well, if they haven't got that power and they know that's what you wouldn't want to do. Even down to, you know, like I say, what you're wearing, lipstick, you might want a particular lipstick on. And actually who's visiting you. So if you're in a care home, for example, you might be estranged from a child or a sibling. They might think, right, they're in a care home, I'm going to go and visit them. But your loved ones would know that you wouldn't wish for that. Exactly.
So it's the things you don't want as well as the things you do want.
Yeah, exactly. So again, donating that power to a friend or family, they can make sure that that decision is yours.
And what would happen, because, you know, I presumed, and this is why we did Mum's lasting power of attorney, I just presumed that obviously I'd step into Mum's shoes, I'd become Mum if she couldn't look after herself, or, you know, and that I think both the LPAs are as important as each other. But what does happen if someone is too poorly to look after themselves, or, you know, and to deal with finances and things? How do you deal with that? What do you do? What do you do if you haven't got a lasting power of attorney?
It's so much more difficult. The importance of the power of attorney is you have to do it now whilst you've got capacity.
Right.
Because obviously you're donating that power. If you've left it too late and that person has then lost their capacity.
And when you say capacity, it could be, again, a numerous things, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be a freak accident that you've had. It could be any ill health, dementia. It could be anything like a stroke, where you can't make your own choices. If you've lost that capacity, unfortunately, it's then too late to put those documents in place. So the only way you can then apply, well, someone can apply on your behalf, is through what's called the Court of Protection.
And when it comes to this, well, first of all, the costs are huge, but the process can take such a long time.
Yeah,
can't
it's
it?
the cost and the time, especially. The cost initially.
And of course, that's got to be your money, because you can't get hold of your loved one's money. So you're having to pay this out, and you might not even have this money. That would be devastating. And you're devastated already because your loved one is poorly.
Yeah.
But these costs are, it's frightening, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the application fee alone, that's just to start the ball rolling. That's £408 that you can see on the screen there. You've then got the assessment fee and the hearing fee included there. This is if you do it yourself as well.
This is without any professional help.
This is without any professional help,
So
absolutely.
the process of doing it must be really difficult.
Yeah, and bearing in mind, this is when you want to be taking the time to care.
Absolutely,
When
yeah.
you're actually having to use that, you're probably still working.
Yeah.
You've still got your own life.
Every spare minute you want to be with your loved one, don't you? You're trying to sort these court costs and things.
Yeah.
The forms are horrific.
Oh, I can imagine.
I remember you saying
horrific. Arrogantly, I kind of know what I'm doing. I don't want to fill them in.
No,
No.
I bet it's horrendous.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, the time to do it as well. And as we say, the time to go through the application, it's actually taken around 12 to 18 months to go through the Court of Protection at the moment.
So even if you do all that and pay all that and it goes to court or whatever, it could take a year.
Yeah, to actually be
But
granted that power.
Couldn't that person that you're trying to help actually have died in that time.
In the worst case scenario, and that's why these documents are so important, because once you've got these documents in place and they are signed, they are legal, you do have to register them with the Office of Public Guardian. Now, that registration fee is a maximum of £82. It can be half price, it can be free in certain circumstances, depends on your benefits and things like that you may be receiving. But £82. So for a power of attorney and the £82 fee that you pay to register it, or you're going through the Court of Protection, it's either or. So again, it's just making that choice today. Ian, you use this phrase all the time, it's a what-if document.
Yeah.
Hopefully you never need this document. That would be great, what an amazing life you've had. But if you do need it, it's there.
It's in place.
Absolutely. And you don't have to register it straight away. You can just get it and have it signed and keep it safe.
Okay.
At least register at some point, but worst case, your attorneys can do that for you if you've lost your costs.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
Absolutely. The main thing is that you've got it in place. That's all we're asking you to do.
We're registering documents now that clients did 10 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And sorry.
No, it's fine. we can hear you. You just sound.
And, you know, family members are phoning up and saying, we think Dad might have done a lasting power of attorney. Yes, he did. He's just been diagnosed with dementia. Right, let's get it out of the storage facility.
Yeah.
Let's get it registered with the Office of Public Guardian. You know, he named you and your sister as attorneys. Done.
Yeah.
If they've not got a
right.
lasting power of attorney, we're advising the only route you can go down is the Court of Protection. And the contrast is stark.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
The important thing is making sure it's signed, dated and witnessed correctly so that it's good to go in inverted commas. But then you also have got that peace of mind, you as the donor, that you have named people that you trust.
Yeah.
It's people that you would choose
That's
to
so
step into your
important,
shoes.
isn't it?
Yeah, because actually with Court of Protection,
It could be anybody.
It could be anybody. You don't have any control on who applies for that.
So anyone can
So
step
it could be
up
that
and
child
say-
that you haven't seen for 10 years and you've fallen out and they've come back to try and get your money sort of
And
thing.
Yeah.
but to be fair, the purpose of the assessment, the purpose of the court is to determine if that person is right.
Yeah.
But they don't know that you might have fallen out with your son only 6 months previously.
No.
And this for me is all about control again.
Yeah.
Is if you don't put a lasting power of attorney in place, you've lost all control about what would happen to you if you were unfortunate enough to lose capacity. If you don't put your own will in place, you lose all control about what happens to your estate after you've passed away, because the government are going to put a will in for you. By taking advantage of these offers tonight, this morning, you're saying, I'm having none of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a say in who's going to make
taking
decisions
control,
for me.
aren't you?
Yeah.
If someone's going to have the power to make decisions over me, I'm going to choose those people and I'm going to choose how they can look after me. And with the will, of course, it's really straightforward. I'm not letting the government decide what happens to my estate. I'm going to decide. I'm going to take control. So this is a really, really selfless thing that you're doing, but it's something amazing for yourself. And I still like what you said at the start of the show. Whilst it's certainly not a traditional Christmas gift, this is a time, let's be honest, when we are thinking probably a little bit more about our family and our loved ones. You know, it's that time of year.
We always say we don't know what to buy. We've got everything. What could we get? And actually, doing a will, I think, is the perfect Christmas present.
Family will be really appreciative.
I'm only giggling because I'm thinking to myself, can I rewrite my will as a gift to Jeannie? Is there anything I can change?
You're in panic mode now. Christmas is around the corner.
I'm sure she'd be over the moon when she opened the box and there's just a new signed will.
No.
And of course, we're not saying that, and I certainly don't wish to make light of it, because whilst this is a really straightforward process, and you'll only know that if you let someone like Charlotte speak to you. It's such an important thing that you do.
It is your last gift to your loved ones, isn't it?
It's the last act on planet
yourself.
Earth.
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
think
That makes your hair's gone end, doesn't it?
I want my last act on planet Earth to be mine.
Yeah.
Your
So when
choice,
my will
yeah.
is read, they're reading my will. If I've not created my will, they're reading a will that was created by the government. And I know for a fact that isn't going to do for my family what I want it to do. So do something amazing, not just for yourself, but for the people that you care about.
Yeah.
You've worked hard for everything you've got. Everything you've got. The value of it is irrelevant. What you've worked hard for, if you know that you want to pass it on to person A, B or C, the only way to do that is to draft your own will. And the hardest part about drafting a will is sending that first text or making that first phone
Making
call.
contact, yeah.
If you do that this morning, you've given yourself and your family an amazing Christmas gift. So don't put it off any longer, because you might think, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Or actually, I will leave it till next year. Like, there's no reason to
For
put
what
it
reason?
off.
Exactly, yeah.
We do though, don't we? And the time just takes over, doesn't it? All of a sudden, we'll
think
wait
it's-
till after
yeah.
Christmas,
It's
and then
that.
we'll wait till spring. For
Things-
some reason, the
life
weather
gets
will
in the
be
way,
better.
doesn't it?
What difference does
Yeah.
that? But we'll wait, and then all of a sudden, we need to sort the summer holiday out now. So we'll wait till after the summer, and
it
then
just keeps
and
getting
then you're
pushed
at
back.
next Christmas before you know it. Now, we've been talking about lasting power of attorney. Your details are on the screen for lasting power of attorney and your will. You can do them jointly, but you can do them individually as well. And these prices are incredible, but you do need to secure
And
these
I think
deals.
the other thing to point out is you don't need anything
No.
to make these appointments, to secure these.
Don't need any answers, any information really, apart from your
paperwork.
name.
Yeah, that's it. You just need to get in touch. So let's run you through those offers and then how to get in touch. There's also a free prize draw for the first time with us at Shop on TV and Simpler Law. So the will itself, first of all, if you want to get the family estate and will, suggested retail price of £209 comes down to £89.
You think initially it'd be so expensive.
Well, I think that's why we didn't do it.
I thought it'd be really expensive. It'd be really complicated.
round
It's
to it.
law, isn't it? And none of that at all, or even time consuming. It's really affordable. Even at £209, it's worth every penny of that. But our price today, like you say, is £89. But it's so simple with Simpler Law, and so quick and easy. It's such an easy process as well. You're saving £120. Remember, if you don't secure those deals, they will go up on Friday. So do it now, because you'll forget. It'll be Sunday, and you'll think, why didn't I do it?
And that's why we'll keep urging you to start that process, take that first step and do it now. So lasting power of attorney, suggested retail price of $349, it's down to $179. What we've just talked about, those lasting power of attorney, if you lose capacity.
That's nearly half price.
It is.
And when you split the cost, $22.25 4 payments with your will, or $44.75 4 payments with your lasting power of attorney, just think about what you spend on coffee. That's money you would virtually throw away, really, on coffee and things.
Coffees in a week, one takeaway on
You've
the lasting
paid for
power of
something that is
attorney.
so important.
Yeah, and it's in place then. You've done it, haven't you? You've started the process and then you're putting it all in place. The best value, however, is if you go for a will and a lasting power of attorney. Just to let you know, if you are in Scotland and you're looking at the lasting power of attorney, it is a joint document, but the team can talk you through that in the office when you speak to them. The will and the lasting power of attorney, as we say, £558 comes down to $249, and that comes down to $62.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. Don't forget, if you are one of the first 250 clients, this is the reason to do it right now. You will also receive that free What My Family Should Know book, and it's a book where basically you store everything: your pensions, your documents, your passwords for your computer.
Yeah, your
It all
supplies,
goes
your
in that
electricity
one book.
supplies, and all
Yes,
those. They're
yeah.
really important things that might need to be cancelled. Your passwords for tablets and phones and things,
Yeah.
so important. Might even be that photo that you absolutely love, which is on the screensaver, and you want that photograph, but you can't get onto that phone to actually get it. It allows
all
you to
be
do.
in that book.
Yeah, it's a brilliant
Life
book.
insurance policies is a big one as well.
Yeah, I
There's so
bet.
many lost, isn't there, Ian?
Billions.
Pensions. Yeah.
That's frightening, isn't it?
literally
That
billions
it's
of
just
pounds.
sat there and could be helping a family somewhere, because it should be there with them.
My dad turned 80 this year, and he's from
Bless him.
Sheffield, and I know that he worked in the steel industry until he got flattened and Meadowall was built. But I couldn't tell you every firm that he worked
Yes,
for.
of course.
No.
Yeah.
And I know that he worked for several,
few.
so if he was paying into pensions in those firms, I mean,
Yeah.
he's at an age now where he's claiming those pensions, which is fine, but when we were putting this together, we found out some really weird statistics. There's up to £5 billion that hasn't been claimed in pension funds, so they've just not been found when someone's passed away, so a pension pot's being paid into. Likewise with unclaimed life insurance policies and even money in bank accounts. So it's really important to sit down and take stock, because of course your family don't know everything about you. So this is why I always say that when you do this type of planning, it really is selfless, but you yourself will get something out of it,
Yeah.
because you're doing something amazing, not just for you, but for your loved ones. And it just means that everything you worked hard for is going to go to where you want it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It is, absolutely. It's your last gift.
But if you don't do it, Nothing.
It's not.
And I think a lot of people, we didn't realise that. You think, well, you haven't written a will. You just presume, well, you say, I've told all the kids know what I want to happen to everything. Or we presumed, we've been together
Each other,
34 years, lived together, worked together. Obviously, both of our families know that if I went, it'd be Sean's. If Sean went, it'd be mine. By the government will, which would have fallen in place if we hadn't have written a will, that would not have been the case at all. If Sean had passed, I'm not on that government will,
No,
even though
completely different
I've
process.
suffered for 34 years. I'm not on that, and that is the truth.
touch me.
And I know I'm making
Don't
light,
touch me.
but that, can you imagine the devastation? You've lost.
Sean, I saw
Thank
that
you.
soul.
Thank
I saw
you.
that soul.
You know, you've lived with someone for all those years, you adore them, and all
it's
of a
taken out your
sudden
hand.
they've been taken away from you, and then all of a sudden everything else could be taken away from you because you're not in that government will. And it's the same with sort of mixed families. If you've been married before, you've got children from different families and you all live together, it's the same. Those children sadly aren't all equal, and we'll go through all of that. It's so important, and it's so simple to make sure that you write this will and that you make sure that what you want to happen happens. Take a look on this screen, because do one of these things. That's all you need to do, is get in touch and secure the deal tonight.
And if you're talking about a will, remember, it's just £89.
Crazy.
It's
so affordable.
So affordable.
There's no, and split the cost as well. It's no reason not to do this.
So simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. If you go directly to Simpler Law, shop on TV, that's that / make sure you get those exclusive offers. You can call the call centre. They're there right through till 3 a.m. 0333 600 2600. Or you can text.
We love the text. I love text. I do so many competitions where you just text, a letter. I wouldn't ring up, but I will text the word, and one day I will be the winner. But if you text Will tonight to 66777, you are a winner, because you've taken that first step. I think that's the trickiest thing sometimes. You've actually got things. You've got the ball rolling, haven't you? You've made that decision. I am. Perhaps it's a New Year's resolution. Next year, I'm going to get organised. We're going to do Mum's Patio next year. Perhaps we said that last year and the year before, but next year's the year. If you text Will right now, you're going to get that will done next year, because you can say, well, actually, can I talk through it all in the new year? And of course you can. They're going to find a date and time that's just right for you. But you must do it tonight, because honestly, it's that simple, and then it is that first step done.
And those offers, remember, close of business on Friday to get those fabulous offers. You can also go through to our website, if you so wish, shopontv.co.uk. Scroll down the page and you'll see our on-screen partners. Just click on Simpler Law and it'll take you through to the contact page. Just fill in that contact detail that you can see there. And you may have noticed a new prize draw. We've never done this before tonight's show, but simply by securing the offer, you will go into a free prize draw. You could win a £250 Love to Shop voucher. If you secure an appointment for the will, you'll get 1 entry, but if you go for a will and an LPA, you'll get 2 entries. If you and your partner do both of them, you'll get 4 entries. So each time you secure the deals, you'll get an entry to win a £250.
So many reasons to do it right now. And don't forget and leave it, and then on Sunday realise you haven't done it and you've missed out on all of this. The price is the most important, but actually making sure what you've worked so hard for and what you want to happen happens. Writing that will or getting that lasting power of attorney is so important. Writing that will could be the best Christmas present for your family. It's going to be your final gift to your loved ones. The peace of mind.
Charlotte often talks about the weight lifted off people's shoulders, because they've actually put it in place. They've actually started. So we are going to go right back to the beginning. If you've just joined us, we're going to talk about writing a will being so affordable, but with experts in the field.
And if you haven't written a will, I'm really sorry to tell you that you have got one, and it's the government will, and it is not at all what you would want to happen. You honestly, it's frightening what would happen to all you've worked for so long, and now all of a sudden it's not going to the people you want. You could be looking down, and I truly do believe, and I hope that's what happens, that your loved one that you've lost is looking down, watching the family fall out because they didn't write a will, and now everything's been done by this yes or no chart.
Actually, we'll get Ian to run us through this, because it is a series of yes/no questions, isn't it, Ian? And the process just goes from one thing to another.
Yeah, if you don't make your own will, the default position is you get given a government will.
Bless your voice.
Ian's struggling a little bit with his voice, so shall we pass it over to Sean?
Yes.
I'll bludgeon through.
We can hear you. You just sound very different.
You sound very gruff.
Well, apparently Gary Barlow.
Yeah, people have said.
Still got to take that song's going through.
It's like that late night chat line.
I'll be sure to phone my wife when I get back to the hotel. But again, in all seriousness, I think there's two decisions going on when you don't make your own will, and that's not readily known because the information isn't out there. But if you've decided not to make your own will because you assume or hope or believe that it will just happen the way you want it to happen, you're accepting the government will, because there is no grey area in between. You either pass away with your own will, that's obviously you've taken control,
your wishes,
or you pass away with a government will. It doesn't matter what you might have said to other people. There's only two legal ways to die: with your own will or with the government will. And the first question that's asked of you when you pass away is, are you married or in a civil partnership? Not have you been together for 34 years, not are you in love, not are you cohabiting, it's are you married or in a civil partnership? They're all yes or no questions. So depending on the answer, it then goes to another question and another question until you get to a destination, if you like, for your estate. And sometimes that isn't where you want it to be.
No.
And every time there's a family that have children from different bloodlines, we can guarantee that after the second person's died, it doesn't work because it will only follow one person's bloodline.
Right.
So it's all too often family members are disinherited.
Right.
Gosh, and there's so many families that have been married before, got children from other relationships, lived together, possibly got children together as well, and you live as one big happy family. You see yourself as one family, brothers and sisters. There's no difference. But if one partner died, part of it would go to the living partner.
Yeah, and it's an important thing to make that even if you are married, believe it or not, even married couples aren't guaranteed to get everything off each other through the government will. You're only guaranteed the first £322,000, which might be enough for a lot of people, but you know, if you've got more than that, your spouse isn't inheriting everything. So all these assumptions start to fall down, even if you are married. So if you are married, and let's say your estate is worth less than £322,000, forgive the finger puppets, but if Mr. Smith passed away first and everything went to Mrs. Smith, when Mrs. Smith then dies, the government will send it to her children and her children only.
So his children would have lost out on it?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And it's not unusual for us now. In fact, it's very, very commonplace to speak to people who are on a second relationship, who have got children from previous relationships, or are on a second relationship, married or unmarried. And like you recognise, but thankfully you did recognise, that being together for 34 years in the eyes of the law means nothing.
Not enough.
Well, didn't you have a friend that said to you, no, I don't need a will? And you sat down and explained.
Well, I just scared him to death because I told him the truth, because I made a decision not to push myself on family and friends a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I realised that was actually a mistake, because we then lost somebody unexpectedly, and I'm thinking,
God.
I'm thinking, I felt bad because I'm thinking, well, I don't take work home, but
Yeah, I should.
there was a problem that could have been avoided.
Bless
We helped
you.
with a lot. So now I'm like, if I see a problem, I'm like, I'm not your friend for 5 minutes. Let me just tell you this.
Well, you've even done it to us. So you said
Yeah.
you went out to dinner with some friends and they were like, oh, we haven't got a will. And we were
Like,
proper
what do you mean?
preaching. 'Cause
Absolutely.
It's so easy, it's so important, and it's so affordable.
I think the frustration is, and again, I keep using this word as if we've got a problem with it, but we know when something goes wrong, it's not what those people wanted.
No, that's
No
it.
one's ever passed away and gone, I hope I leave a mess for my family.
No.
I hope my wife loses a roof above her head. I hope my children
No,
fall
that's
out.
it.
No one's ever passed away wanting that. And yet, sadly, that happens every day. I'm not exaggerating. It happens every day, and it's avoidable. It's avoidable. If you're listening to my croaky voice now, there's a reason you're probably still listening, either morbid curiosity to see if it will actually last this or the phone's probably next to you now, or you might be dual screening me with the phone.
Yeah.
Text the word will to 66777. It'll be one of the best texts you've ever sent. I like what you say about you're a guaranteed winner.
Yeah.
What you're guaranteed to get is your will,
Your wishes.
which then also guarantees that you won't get the government will, which means your last act on planet Earth, which hopefully is many, many years from now, but it will be your act. And some people might put off making a will going, oh, well, I think this might change and that might change, or we might move house next year, we might do that. That is not a reason to put it off.
No,
Make
that's
your will
it's
today.
okay, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we know there might be future changes, guess what? We can talk about keeping your will up to date.
Great.
But a will is for now,
Yeah.
right now. And the only time you can do it is today. We can't do anything yesterday, it's gone. We never do anything tomorrow because it never comes. It's right now.
Tomorrow might be too late. You just don't know, do you?
don't.
Oh, we all know if we don't do, it's like, you know, if you've got, oh, I won't send that text now, you know, because it's going to take 13 seconds. Yeah. If you say, I'm not going to send that text now, but I'll do it tomorrow, you're kind of kidding yourself.
Yeah, of course
'Cause
you are.
we'll wake up tomorrow and we'll make a coffee and we'll just get on with our day again. So honestly, if you're thinking about, oh, I've been meaning to make a will, there's probably a reason that you're listening to me now.
Yeah.
So take full advantage, do something amazing for yourself. It's not a traditional Christmas gift, but
Oh, but I think,
Best thing.
And do you know what? When you think about wills at home, you're probably thinking, oh, well, it's just a monetary thing. But Charlotte, there's so much you can do with your will, isn't there?
So much more, yes. It's all personal to you. It's not just about where you want things to go. It can be about where you don't want things to
Yeah.
go.
Right, okay.
So it could be that you're estranged from a family member. It could be a child or a sibling, a parent. So we can actually put a clause in there to stipulate who you don't want that to pass to. It can even be gifts of pet. Pets are just as important as children are, so you can stipulate
Sometimes
where you
more
want
so.
Well, that's actually very true.
Yeah.
You can
I bet
stipulate-
some of your calls are very
yeah, I
interesting.
bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can stipulate who you want to care for your pet.
Oh,
it
wow.
might be family heirlooms, it could be an engagement ring or any item that's important to you. We've stipulated already, it's not about the value, it's what's important to you. And it could even be charity gifts as well that you want to stipulate in there. It's just about having the choice. And you can see a list on
personal.
there.
It's personal.
It's personal. Even the ages that your children inherit.
See, I'd never thought of that. So they'd inherit about sort of 18,
Legally.
Legally.
and they could then be given sort of all of it. I'd never thought. And at 18, our heads were very different to how we are now. You could really misuse that money, couldn't you?
Absolutely. If you've not got the will in place and it's just by the government will, your children will legally inherit, well, if it's going directly obviously to children, at the age of 18. And we've all been 18.
Yeah.
You might not appreciate money then. You know,
No.
you know your children. So a lot of clients that I've spoken to will go between 18 and 21. They've even gone up to 23 and 25 before. You can stipulate certain amounts at certain ages. Again, it's your choice. It's what's right and personal for you. And that's what we talk about during the consultation.
That's great.
And that's the questions that we ask. You don't need to have the answers right now.
That's the great thing.
Yeah.
You've got the questions. You know what you need. You know what you need to find out, and it is just a simple conversation like this, and you find those answers. So there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to think. Oh, I don't. You don't need to know anything.
Well, that's what Charlotte's saying. You don't need anything to make me secure the deal tonight,
No.
but you also don't need anything at that first consultation, do you?
Absolutely not. We do have clients that come and have all the answers, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But then we have other clients that don't.
Right.
We will go at your own pace.
Great.
It's what's right for you. We will not give you a document and produce that document for you until you're ready. It's all about you. That's what's so special and important about this document. It's your choice. And that's why we just need you to take that step today. We will deal with everything else, and I can guarantee you might actually even have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You get through to me
it's
anyway.
very much a hand-holding situation. We did my mum's lasting power of attorney with, funnily enough, Simpler Law before they came to us here on ShopOnTV, and it very much was a hand-holding. We felt so at ease. I felt I could ask absolutely anything. I felt afterwards I could email. Oh, I forgot
Yeah.
this. Have I done this right? And
You never
nothing,
felt you were
never
asking the wrong
rushed.
question.
No, and I always feel like that. I always come away and think, oh, why did I ask that? Or I didn't ask it because I thought, oh, that's a stupid question. And not at any point did I feel I couldn't ask something.
And the other thing that I
so comfortable.
just remembered is that if anything was wrong, they caught it like the signature,
Yes,
isn't it? The
and
signatures are really
that's
important, aren't
so
they?
important
Absolutely.
because we didn't realise, and we had all the documents and we filled it all in as you told us, and then got it signed and witnessed, and our neighbour that had been our neighbour for all my life, had been a neighbour to Mum for, oh gosh, since she'd lived there, you know, 50 odd years. She signed, but she signed differently to how she printed, and we didn't realise that all the time we've known her, we've been calling her middle name. She's never used her first name.
Yeah.
And that, you picked up on that and said, hang on a minute, this isn't
She
quite,
printed one
quite
and
right.
signed another.
Yeah, that's the beauty of using a professional again, is because we do see clients where you've gone and actually intended and put the will in place, but if it's not been signed correctly, it's not a legal document.
It's not
Yeah.
valid.
We will take you through all of that. We don't just produce your will and leave you to it. We will give you a call, we'll give you instruction on how to sign it correctly. We even offer a free validation service. So we'll actually check that you've signed that document correctly for you. So you know that is legally binding, a document that you've got in place that will guarantee do what you've instructed it to do.
And we give instructional videos and...
Yeah,
we
you
make
do,
sure-
which is really good. We followed that. That was
In this
really good.
digital age, you'd think that it'd just be a valid document, but you actually need a wet signature on it with 2 independent witnesses, and you need the correct witnesses for lasting powers of attorney. But we help you with all of that.
And if people at home are watching and they've seen the templates or the DIY...
I'm not feeling very well. Why are you doing that?
Sorry to bring it
Even
up.
worse is the worst one.
I'm sorry to bring it up at this stage, but shall I say we've had an email?
Templates exist, and I wish they didn't, because it's a strange thing. I'm going to get on a personal soapbox for a minute. We're professionals in this area of law, and yet you can go and buy a template that'll give you a small percentage of guidance about this is where you put this is where you put that. But the template doesn't know about you and doesn't ask you any questions other than really basic ones, because it can't do any more than that. Now, someone like Charlotte, who's highly trained and does this for a living, will be able to give you full advice, will be able to ask you questions about things that you wouldn't know, and you'll be able to answer those questions. A template doesn't pose those questions.
No.
It will say something. Who do you want your executor to be? Who do you want to inherit? That's about it.
And you have to use certain terminology, don't you, Ian? You were telling us, like legal terminology.
Our documents are written in as much plain English as they can be, and we go through all the documents with you to make sure you understand them. But there is some, I call it legalese, there is some legal terminology in there because it's recognised by the courts and removes ambiguity. Silly things like children aren't referred to as children in the will, they're referred to as issue because it's a legal term.
Oh gosh.
But we'll explain that to you. There's something in a will called persterpes. I won't bore you with that.
Oh gosh.
But we'll
Is there a
explain that.
cream for that?
But well, it's quite funny because sometimes people misread it and go, can I just check what this per stripes means?
Yeah.
But, and I don't want to say that to put people off going, no, it's complicated.
No.
Those are two minor things, but
you
again,
know.
there's a correct way to
That's
draft a
it.
will and there's an incorrect way. But worse still about a template is it gives you no advice.
No.
If you don't know the difference between first death and second death, if you're writing as a couple, you might duplicate things or get things paid out at the wrong time. And worse than that, if there's no one to check it, at the end of the day, you might not even validate it correctly. Because whilst it seems relatively straightforward, you'd be surprised at how many wills come back to us that are wrong. But the beauty in using us is we'll say, sorry, you got that wrong. Have another go.
Yeah.
Let's tell you how you get it right. The worst thing that happens is sometimes we get sent a template, it's either written really badly or worse still, it's written badly and not signed. And it's like, oh, you can see what the client wanted to do, but it's not valid. So you're back
That's
to the
even
government.
worse, isn't it?
It is, in a sense.
They
it
have
is.
tried to write that,
You've got a piece of paper here where it's clear what he wanted to happen, and now none of that's going to happen because they've defaulted back to the government will.
Wasn't there a gentleman that he wrote it all down and he wanted everything he owned to go to his friend because he'd looked at his neighbour, he'd looked after him for all that time, and because he hadn't done it legally and properly.
He used a template, he wrote, I want everything to go to Bob. Never signed it.
Oh.
So it wasn't bad. So you've got this document that says, I want everything to go to Bob. And it ended up going to...
It was a distant
I think a
relative,
cousin in
wasn't it?
Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, that he'd
And then he
never
followed-
met.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the neighbour had been with him and looked after him and been his mate.
And that was his wish.
Yeah. And he thought he'd done enough because he's like, oh,
Yeah.
I've written it here.
and you're like, oh, and it's heartbreaking.
Of course it is.
Of course.
So, and you know, and And again, it's the scenario that you talk about with your mum. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Everyone knows how close we are. Everyone knows what should have happened.
Yeah.
And people are going, why is that not happening? Because there wasn't a legally binding document in place to ensure it happened. This is a really, really selfless thing that you're going to do if you make a will. Sending that text tonight or phoning one of Charlotte's colleagues tonight is incredibly selfless. But it's an amazing gift that you're giving to your family.
It is.
The people that you love, the people that you want to benefit ultimately from your hard work will benefit from your hard work if you do this selfless thing.
It is your final gift. It could be, I know we're just before Christmas, it could be the best Christmas present that you got the will sorted, or going into the new year, if you don't want to sort it out completely till the new year, secure the deal now. So I'll speak to you in January, you can sort out a date that's right, and that could be your New Year's resolution. I'm going to sort things next year. And you've actually taken that step, and you know that's one thing ticked off that list. I've sorted the will, I've sorted the lasting power of attorney. Because sadly, if you haven't written a will, there is one out there for you, and it is the government will, and it's not, just as we explained with that gentleman who went to a distant relative in Canada that he'd never met, it's not the you know, what you would want to happen.
It's just taken out of your hands. The great thing about Simple Law is experts in the field. They offer us exclusive prices, but remember, it's only until Friday at 5 o'clock. We've also got a free prize draw. You could win a £250 voucher for Love to Shop. But when we read the Trustpilot reviews, this really brings it home. And this one from Dave: completed my will today with Gemma. Gemma was very helpful and explained in detail through the steps, making it easier and less stressful to complete. The will was more complicated due to the requests I had, but Gemma had no issues in completing this. And this is what you'll see through the Trustpilot reviews. The team are named throughout. Yeah,
rather than saying Simpler Law. And of course it is Simpler Law, but actually it's that personal person you dealt with. They become a friend, really. It's so simple to sort that will out. There's no need to be nervous like this next 5-star review.
Jean said, was rather nervous to begin with, but from the very beginning, every person I spoke to put my worries at rest. Isn't that lovely? It was a very simple procedure. I'll be recommending them to anyone I know who hasn't got a will yet. That's what we're like, isn't it?
We're terrible,
If we find out we're at dinner and friends haven't got a will, what?
Well, like, you are joking.
So
I was saying to my sister today, my sister hasn't got a will. I'm like, what do you mean you haven't got a will? I said, do you realise what's going to happen?
Serious preaching tomorrow when we take it to the airport.
Absolutely. Do you realise what's going to happen if you don't have a will in place? Because it's not what you want to happen at all. And the sad thing is, it is so simple with Simpler Law. You know you're going to get it right, and you've got the most incredible prices as well. And it is the prices that is why you need to get in touch. I would say right now, you have got till Friday at 5 o'clock, but I know you'll probably forget. It'll be Sunday and you'll kick yourself. Do it now and it's done. You're just securing the deal right now. That's it. Full stop. Don't need any other information apart from your name. And look at our prices. Incredible. 3 separate offers Simple Law are offering you tonight. The will itself, a suggested retail price of £209. Well, it comes down to £89. It can come down even further if you want to spread the cost interest free with Simple Law, just £22.25 on your first. And you spend that in an instant, don't you? I bet you spend more than that on coffees in a week. Yeah, coffees in a couple of days, to be fair. And that's what you want to happen is going to happen with what you've worked so hard for. So that's your will. We've got lasting power of attorney. Great savings. You're saving £170 here. So do it right now, because you'll kick yourself if it's £349. And right now you could be securing the deal for £179. And lasting power of attorney, we will touch on it just briefly again in a moment, is really, really important. And then we've got the two combined together, which is a huge saving. Yeah, the will and the lasting power of attorney is the biggest saving. Just so you're aware, if you're in Scotland, the lasting power of attorney is a joint document, but the team know all about that if you do want to get in touch. The will and lasting power of attorney, £558 is the suggested retail price. It comes down to £249 or £62.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. You can see there, first 250 clients will also receive a free What My Family Should Know book. So another reason to do it right now rather than leave it till later. I mean, the book you can see there is worth £25. Lots of people are disappointed they miss out, will want to try and buy that book, but you'll actually get it if you are the first 250 clients. And that gives you all your information in one book. I think everybody, I started off, I said everyone from birth, but that's probably a little bit too early.
Little extra.
Everyone from working age.
Working age, yeah.
Should have this book. So you've got everything, every pension, you know, who you deal with, whether that's electricity, and even your passwords for your
That's
phone.
all
and
your
tablets.
digital accounts you can record in there. So first 250
important.
people will receive that book. It's worth £25. We've got some other bonuses to talk about, but we must show you again how to get in touch, because that's really simple.
This is the great thing. So to secure the book, to secure the deal, to make sure you don't miss out, to take that first step is so easy. You can get in contact with simplylaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV. So you don't need to speak to anyone right now. You've secured that deal. It's done. And then they'll get back in touch with you later on today. And then you can sort out a time and a day that's good for you. If you don't want to do it before Christmas, sort out a date in January. That's the first thing you do in the new year.
Like Charlotte and Ian always say, it's at your pace.
Yeah,
That's the other
absolutely.
great
You're
thing.
just
But you've
securing the
started.
price, yeah. Then you've got the phone number. Yes, they're there. They're in the office waiting for that call. Well, actually, they're probably really busy already, but they will pick up that call. So 0333 600 2600. You can ask a couple of questions tonight, but it is, again, it's just about saying, I want to secure that deal, and they will get back to you. But the easiest way, and I think, you know, sometimes you just don't want to talk to anybody. You've spoken all day, is texting that word.
Yeah.
Just will.
Just text the word will, WILL, to 66777. That's whether you want the lasting power of attorney or the will. It's dead straightforward. The team will get back to you later on today.
I do all the competitions
After 11
like that.
o'clock you do. It costs us a fortune.
But the great thing is you have one already if you text will to
Yeah, you've
66777,
started the process.
because you know you've secured that price. That price is, you've taken that first step. Sometimes it's the first step that just takes forever, doesn't it? Or is the because you put things off. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next, and all of a sudden it's this time next year, and you still haven't sorted that will. That was us. We thought, oh yeah, we must do one, and then we didn't, and then terrified when we actually did sit down to do one, to discover that actually, because we're not married, though we've been together 34 years, that would have that wouldn't made any difference if Sean had passed. I'm not on the government will, which we would have had because we hadn't written a will. I wouldn't have been entitled to anything, even though what's mine is Sean's and what Sean's is mine. If I passed it, Sean isn't on the government will. It's frightening, isn't it?
It's horrible. And remember, you can still get in touch through our website if you want to. ShopOnTV.co.uk. And when you go to our website, you scroll down the page, you'll see our on-screen partners. You just click on Simpler Law. It takes you through to a registration page, if you like. You just fill in your details just there. Really, again, simple and straightforward. And you may have noticed there we've got another new offer. If you are taking advantage of the offers, you will go into a free prize draw, and when you go into that prize draw, if you're the lucky winner, you'll win a £250 Loves to Shop voucher if you're the winner. So if you do go for two items, if you go for a will and an LPA, you'll go into the draw 2 times, and so on and so forth.
Now, I think lots of you will know what a will is, and perhaps hopefully have learnt through the show how important it is that we write a will. But an LPA, a lasting power of attorney, I think unless you've sadly been in a situation where one has been needed, you perhaps don't know what that is and how important that is.
Now we're going to get Charlotte to explain what it is. If anybody's not sure about an LPA, can you explain what it is for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a document where you nominate who you trust to make your decisions for you if you no longer have the capacity to do so yourself. So if you can't make your own decisions through ill health or a freak accident, whatever that reason is, you can nominate in this document who you would choose to do that for you. So they essentially step into your shoes and make any decision for you that you would normally make for yourself.
And it's a bit like wills. We presume, and you'd presume, I'd presume if it was my mum, everybody knows I love her to death, and that I'd do anything for her. So obviously, surely I could step into her shoes and do all those things. Or as a husband and wife, surely it's my partner. I can do. But you can't, can you?
No, if you try to access anything for that partner or husband, whoever it would be, if you go to their bank account and try to get access, the first question that gets asked is, are you the account holder? You have to get through data protection. If you're not that person,
So true, yeah.
they're not going to let you do anything.
They don't want to speak to you, yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
you can't contact.
Right now, and
energy
mum's
providers.
okay. I have to let mum speak to them first.
Exactly, yeah. And while that person has that capacity, they can pass that over to you while they're with you. But
if she was
they
poorly,
can't do that on their behalf, then you can't do anything for them. And these things don't stop. So bills don't stop going out, money doesn't stop because someone's lost capacity.
Of course not.
So these documents are so powerful to be able to do that.
And when you say documents, there are two types, aren't there? Financial, first of all.
Yeah, financial and health. So
Right.
the financial, first of all, property and financial affairs. This one, anything from a financial point of view, really. So whoever you nominate, it could be one person, it could be multiple, friends, family. Again, it's you making that choice. They can essentially manage your finances for you. So they can actually go to that bank account and access your money, pay your bills, claim pensions, claim benefits with regards to bank
And that's so important because that's got to carry on, hasn't it?
Yeah, that doesn't
like you say,
stop.
it continues,
So rather
yeah.
than debts building up, they can actually manage all of those for you. If you've got a property, they can manage that property if it needs to be sold. If you've got a rental property, they can manage all of those things for you so that everything is as it should be if you can't do that for yourself.
Now, we got in touch with the financial for my mum, because that's what we'd heard about and spoke to you, and you made it was all so easy and such a relief to get it sorted. But then when we spoke, there's a second lasting power of attorney. And actually, I was like, Mum, we've got to do this as well, because I think this is just as important as the financial.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more personal. It's
Absolutely,
health
yeah.
and welfare. So this document, again, whoever you nominate, that can be the same as the financial or different, because some people have different wishes for that. But these people can decide where you're living. So if they want you to live at home with them, if they want to care for you, they can make that choice. If you need to go into care, again, they can make
care
a decision
home
where
and
that
things,
is. Yeah. It can be medication. It's medication that you're receiving. They can discuss that. It can also be down to what you're eating, what you're wearing, how you look.
All your personal choices. isn't
Really,
it?
really personal choices, which no one, apart from your loved ones or close ones, would know.
No,
so if
of
you're
course.
in a care home,
And that's
you mentioned
just as important,
previously, yeah, if you're a vegetarian, who's going to know that apart from your loved ones?
Yeah.
They don't have that power to speak on your behalf. You're called the donor in a power of attorney because you're donating your power to whoever you've nominated, say children, for example. So they become you. They can make those choices for you. These are so important. And the important thing with powers of attorney is you have to do them now, while you've got capacity. Because once you've lost capacity, it's then too late to actually put the document in place. You can only apply then through what's called the Court of Protection.
And when it goes to Court of Protection, the costs are, they're huge, aren't they?
It's the cost, it's the time as well, because going through the Court of Protection, you have got the costs first of all, which you can see on the screen there. The application fee alone, that's just to start the ball rolling, that's £408. That's if you're doing it on your own, any of these fees. It's
That's
not
just the
including
beginning.
any
yeah.
professional
No
help.
advice, yeah.
Yeah, and Ian stipulated earlier, the documentation you get through that you've got to fill out is huge.
Oh, I can imagine.
So you've got the fees, you've got the time to fill out the documents, you're probably working, you've probably got a family that you've got to...
You've got to find that money as well, because obviously your loved one, you can't use their money because you
Exactly,
can't
so this
touch
is
it.
your money that
So
you've
you've
got
got to
to
have
use.
that money to do that as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. And that supervision fee that's on there is actually an annual payment that you've got to make.
So you have, oh my God.
So it's actually ongoing.
And on that point, it's the time, isn't it? The time scale is...
The time, yeah, and also to go through that process at the minute is around 12 to 18 months to apply to the court.
And surely you could have lost the loved one that
Yeah,
you wanted to
shouldn't be
help.
spending
Look,
time with your loved one.
Worst case, exactly the time with your loved one as well.
Yeah, it's-
If you already had these powers of attorney in place, you don't need to worry about that. You can spend that time caring for that loved one. If you're having to apply through the court, complete the documentation, pay the fees, it's extra stress at a time that's already really difficult because
course.
although that person hasn't passed away, you're still dealing with a bit of grief there because they're not who they were.
Absolutely.
So an already hard time, and I love when you say this, Ian, the documents don't make the situation any easier, but they don't make it any harder.
No.
Because going through the Court of Protection, that's
whole
the only other
process,
option without
yeah.
having these documents in place. If you've got these, you do have to register them. Once you've got the documents, they have to be signed correctly, similar to your will, and they have to be registered with what's called the Office of Public Guardian. Registration fee at a maximum is £82. It can be half price, it can be free, depending on your circumstances. But full, worst case, £82. That's the alternative to going through those court fees.
Gosh, what a difference.
And-
Ian often calls it, you call it the what if
What if.
document. Hopefully you never have to use it.
Yeah, it's not. What is
And
that?
bless you.
Nearly there.
What
Nearly
noise is
there.
that now?
We'll go past 3 o'clock and your voice is... There won't be anything there at all.
Yeah, gone off.
You're so close.
It's not an insurance. It's not an insurance policy as such, but it can be viewed very similar. It's something that you want to have and hope that you never need to use.
Yeah.
You know, if you had a crystal ball and could see that you had perfect health, then, of course, you'd never take one out. But if you had a crystal ball, you could see that bump on the horizon. For you and for your family, you'd make sure you got one in place. So you want to have it and just hope that you never need to use it.
So that will, and remember we've spoken a lot about wills. Wills are so important. That will, you know, at some point it will be needed. You will use it. If you haven't got a will, please. You have. That's the awful thing. If you haven't written a legal will, you will get the government will. Just like we're talking about lasting power of attorney, it's taken out of your hands completely. And the government will doesn't work for anybody. We as a partner have been together 34 years. Obviously, what's mine is Sean's, what's Sean's. It's not on that government will. I'm not, if Sean passed, I'm not on that government will
but
for Sean.
that's the thing. I think it's those misconceptions, those presumptions.
Mixed
that
families.
Has. Common law,
different
husband
children,
and wife doesn't exist.
There's so many things, and there's that government will is 100 years old. My goodness, please, it's frightening. All of a sudden, what you worked so hard for is going to all the wrong people, and I do believe that my dad is watching over me, and he drops me that white feather, and I do believe it. And can you imagine looking down and seeing your family fall apart because you didn't write that will?
Especially when it's so simple, it's so straightforward, and it's so affordable. And Charlotte, simpler law are the ones to choose because this is where your expertise is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is all that we do. Me.
We get to talk to you.
No, all of the team are so amazing. We're trained. It's what we're there for. It's a hand-holding service. You've seen the Trustpilot reviews as we've gone through today. We've got 5 stars on Trustpilot, and we care and want to produce a document that's right for you. Yeah,
you become friends.
Yeah.
You make it so simple. No question is too. I always think, oh, that's a silly question. Not at one point did I think that's a silly question.
No.
I thought, no, I'm so at ease. I can ask that question. And you do make it completely bespoke, because obviously every will or lasting power of attorney is bespoke to the individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, you might be sitting there now thinking, oh, can they help me? It might be really complicated. I promise you it's not.
It's not, and it's not
always a solution.
It's not expensive either.
No,
and we've got to get those prices in, because those prices are only until Friday at close of business. However, do it right now, because I think you'll forget and then you'll kick yourself. The will should be £209, £89. You're securing that price today. A lasting power of attorney, £179, and both together £249. Do it right now and do it this way. Take a photo of this page. Once we will be leaving you at 3 o'clock in a second, but you can get onto the website, you can ring the phones. The easiest thing, that's the one. You're going to bed. Text will to 66777.
Just text the word will, WILL, to 66777, and that secures the offer for you. Remember, you will go into that free prize draw. You could win a £250 voucher from Love to Shop simply by securing the deals.
But you are winning already, because you've taken that first step. It's your final gift to your family. It's your Christmas present to your family. Or it's starting that New Year's resolution. You're going into the new year and you've already ticked a box because you've secured a price to get that will sorted, that lasting power of attorney sorted.
Got to say a huge thank you to the team, to Ian and Charlotte for joining us. Lovely to see you. Thank you to you for joining us too. Don't go anywhere, and make sure you get the deal.